say you can be the most conservative, and you still have something you want. Still have expectations.
Like roads, decent roads.
Bridges. Ambulance.
Fire.
Fire,
No.
healthcare.
Commission, you are live.
Okay, no more.
You're soapbox this one.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the September 8th meeting of Raleigh County Commission. Please join the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It seems like a week since I've seen you again. No comments, public.
Okay, well, let's see. Oh, go back to last week. Thursday night, I attended the worship committee at church, and we're dealing with all sorts of issues as far as, what we're saying, what we don't say, what we need to require director to. But Friday evening, I went to an event at the Manhattan Country Club with Governor Kelly and Lieutenant Governor Howland. And it was really a good event, very well attended, and all of our elected officials were there. So that was not the national ones, but the state. So that was Friday. Saturday, did a lot of chores at home before going to the football game in the evening. First play was just amazing. It was like no one expected. The band was great. The whole band was out on the field, 350 of them. So it was really, really good. The game was great. Turned out well. Weather was super. Sunday went to church, and then we went to lunch at Ricky's in Hanover. It was a beautiful drive in the afternoon. Monday, I decided I had reservations to go on the steam engine train. That was the last weekend in Abilene. They will be having, it was great. There were a lot of people on it, and had a good time. Went to the grist mill, took a bunch of pictures. So I was to meet parents and down there. There will be a Dickinson County Heritage Days first week of October, where they will bring the steam engine out again. So if you missed it this summer, you can still make it in October. Then Tuesday in the morning, I shopped for the Thursday meal at Common Table. I did go over to the bread basket, picked up 15 pounds of sausage to use, and spent some time, going over some statistics that they have, food insecure people. And since the new leadership has taken over, they have been opening their doors, a lot more. They have seen in the past couple months over 3,000 people that they've given out food to. And some of the statistics he showed me, I don't have a copy of them yet, but the percentage of food insecure people in our county, which most of it's in Manhattan, is about 11%. It means people that don't have access to food, or hungry, or they only eat maybe one meal a day, that kind of thing. So there is a great need. And some of the needs, especially up in the north part of the county, are tied to transportation to get to places where they can get free food. So that is an issue. So that was really eye-opening. I couldn't believe how many people they had actually seen in the past couple of months. So Wednesday, yesterday was pretty busy. I went to the military relations lunch, and it was packed. A lot of people there.
Congressman was there, wasn't he? Congressman.
Yeah, Congressman. The guest speaker was Tracy Mann, Congressman. And then they had, let's see. They have a lot of things coming up. Sunday at City Park, they're going to be, it's the 9/11 service. It's going to be happening, open at 3 to 5. Raleigh County Police Department will be there with their food truck, with picnic. The governor will be there, and Attorney General Derek Schmidt, Carl's also some people, but anyway, they have, the speeches are at 5:30. So if anyone wants to attend, yeah. Then there's all sorts of other events coming up, and the next lunch is October 5th at 4 Points by Sheraton. So that was that, and then right after that, I went to the West Loop Business Association meeting at the Dream Car Collection, and Congressman Mann was there again and with the same speech, so that was like Mike Watson also did a little presentation, and they went around the room and everybody kind of updated what's going on. Wesley Business Association was pretty well attended. They do a lot of advertising. They're going to be having their Halloween giveaway on the 31st. And I guess Aggieville is going to have it. That's on Monday. Aggieville is going to have theirs on Saturday before Halloween. So let's see. Then last night I went to the first meeting of our belt choir. We started up again, so I'm able to do that again. It's great. And came home and had a bunch of people working in my yard, so it's pretty busy. It's been kind of busy for me, you know, getting back into the swing. So that's it.
Said it's been a week, right? That feels like eternity. So much so I had to rewind all my coffee. I came in early, so I'll give myself time. So, well, hopefully, I just wanted to mention everybody had a wonderful and safe and enjoyable Labor Day weekend. It's hard to believe. It doesn't feel like it just yet, although it kind of feels like it in the mornings at Pulse here. But maybe over the weekend we'll get that first taste of that. So, going back to Thursday afternoon, I did listen in on NACO's national membership call on the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act. Call was to discuss ways nation's counties can use this to their benefit, find potential opportunities to pursue clean energy initiatives and the competitive grant process, and invest in local resiliency programs, and the usage of some of those, I guess, energy tax credits and other things that are involved in the act itself. Let's see. Also Thursday afternoon, I listened in via Zoom. Got the wrong address on this one, else it would have been in person. The Flint Hills Mental Health Task Force. During the meeting, we got a report on both the crisis stabilization unit, as well as the RCPD Pawnee Mental Health co-responder from Brent Haverkamp. Quarterly report from Maggie Rosette from Ascension Via Christi. Robin Cole gave a general update from Pawnee, and there were several related discussions. That group will meet again on November 3rd. Thursday evening, just moving to the evening, joined members from the Riley County Rural Fire District number 1, as well as members from 7 stations under the umbrella at their structure training over at the RCPD firing range. It's over in the Zenedale area. It's good to have a chance to see those processes up front, see how they work equipment, see how they find water from places, move it to where they need to, and just all those processes it takes. It was rather interesting. Also got an opportunity to get behind one of those hoses and blow some water around. I hope the trees appreciated that out there. But, having the opportunity to see that and do that gives you kind of a perspective. And we've talked all year about fires, and it's been awfully dry for the most part. So it gives you kind of a perspective, and I encourage everybody to take that opportunity. Whether you want to get behind a hose or not, that's probably another thing, but at least see what they do and how they work through that process. Friday morning, listen to the first of a series, I guess we're going to be called E-Calls from the K-State Research and Extension Department. This one dealt with moderate income housing. Audrey Guzman, who is the Valley Falls City Administrator, gave a pretty good presentation how other towns have created moderate income housing models using many different funding resources at all levels to accomplish that. The overall purpose of this and upcoming calls just be to increase community knowledge of, with experts, education, and discussion of those economic resources to help with the issue, and to help promote small entrepreneurs, businesses, and other things within those communities that they all serve and live in. Friday night, want to send out a congratulations to Manhattan High football team. Thrilling victory over number 1, the state perennial power derby on the road, I might add, 26-23. Totally took me by surprise. I think might be a little bit of karma involved in that, if you know what I mean. So, but that's an awesome way to start the 2022 season. So roll Tribe. Speaking of football, good to see K-State get off to a good start with their win over South Dakota. Watched the game at home. I got my ESPN Plus subscription updated. What a bunch of worthless crap that is. Same crap, but $4 more a month. So that's not going to last past the basketball season this year. Anybody who's listening, we need to do something about that. Thank you very much. Lastly, over the weekend and early part of the week, there has been some updates on a couple of transportation related things I thought I would mention this morning. Did get word on Saturday at KDOT. Well, I kind of put it in the present tense there, but it's more the past tense now. But started some work out there at 24 and 13 on Tuesday. I've had a chance to get out there to see what they're working on specifically. They're going to be making some interim improvements between now and hopefully early November that will help out there in the process until we get the full range of both, I'm assuming both roundabouts in those two locations. So help offset some things. I naturally assume with Kimball being open now and Marlette probably not being as actively used, so take away some of that traffic density from up in that location as well. So hopefully we'll work through some of those issues and challenges that we have. But apparently it shifted over the weekend down to Deep Creek Road, Pillsbury. We had a fatality accident out there. It was an individual that lived down there, so it wasn't somebody heading to and from the park. I'll just leave that one at that at this particular point in time. My thoughts do go out to him and the victim and his family. He was rather young. To put things in perspective. So, and the last thing on my list, attended the Ogden City Council meeting last night. Heard an update from RCPD and the efforts they have in place and things that they're working on in the city there. I've been really impressed with that work and effort. It's been long neglected. So I'm glad they've got a vision and a focus over there. Gave them an update on what we're working on, discussed a couple of items that are relevant, listened and discussed some improvements they're trying to make to the downtown park area, the ball fields over there in particular on the, get my bearings straight, southwest corner of the park over there. And then discuss bits and pieces of what's going to be the fall festival this year over there on October 1st. So don't have any plans, head over there. There'll be lots of activities and lots of things going on. So, and that's all I've got.
All right. Well, I say backing up a week makes for a long list.
Yeah.
And actually, last Thursday, I had mentioned that I attended that K-State community event breakfast for our meeting, and got a chance to talk with K-State President Lennon, and then he gave a talk to the group about what some things he looks forward to going forward at K-State. And then Friday, so I had breakfast in there. Then Friday I had lunch there was a luncheon for President Lennon before the inauguration, and I attended that. There was an assortment of speakers from K-State welcoming him, and then one of his mentors, and then spoke, and then a guy that he had mentored from DC came in to talk about it. So it was interesting hearing stuff about it. Then afterwards, I did attend the inauguration of McCain. The formality of it was, all of them marching in their robes and everything. That's purple. Yeah. And then Saturday, most of my kids and grandkids were out for an end of the summer cookout. It was a good day to be outside. And then that evening, we watched K-State football. So a good day. Tuesday, I had conversations with Clancy and Rich and Julie Gibbs on several different subjects. And then I attended the Catbackers event at dinner, and Gene Taylor was one of the guest speakers, talk about what's going on with K-State sports. It was, he was kind of candid in a few things. He wasn't for public comment, public author. It's kind of fun to hear some things he had to say. Tuesday evening, I attended the Leonardville City Council because they approved the contract for the purchase of the lot for the ambulance station, and then also set up the public meeting next month for the special use permit that's required. I brought the contracts back in. Clancy's got them now. And Wednesday, I attended the Flint Hills Adabus board meeting. discussed financials for last year, revised routes, some shelter construction started. And then Ann Smith said she's a part of that leadership, attending that leadership program this year. And then they have a company picnic in October. Overall ridership is still down quite a bit, but it is growing. And they have hired a firm to help them with marketing this year, which I thought was good because I mentioned to him, I said, the food council says, oh, transportation's a problem for people. I went, but there's buses available. And then the chips, the health things, one of the things local was transportation's a problem, getting healthcare. Bus is $1 to ride, it isn't. I don't know if and they've got routes all over the place, but I think it's not because there aren't shelters. They're just, I don't think people realize how many places there are, how easy it is to find a bus. So
It doesn't go up north, sorry. Is it North County?
no, it's only on, they have an on-call.
Yeah,
thing
on-call.
up there. Yeah. And that's all I've got.
Greg had mentioned the contract is okay at the board. I added the contract last item on the business meeting today. That we
Okay.
keep that process going.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. First item we have commissioners, certificate of voting delegate and alternatives for KAC. Typically it's chair, vice chair, member if all three are going. If not, then of course it needs to be someone that is going to attend the meeting for sure. And then if not all commissioners are there, sometimes commissioners appoint another elected official that's going to go. So I think all of you are going this year. But you can appoint whoever you want to be the voting delegate.
I was the delegate last year. You don't do a whole lot.
I
Pull
did
up
it
the
in
card.
I did it in 19, so
Okay. I'll take a turn.
okay.
Get a motion to the effect of who you would like as delegate and alternate 1 and 2.
You want to be the first alternate?
I'll be first.
And I'll do some.
I'll let you make the motion then.
Okay, I would make a motion to appoint Chairman McKinley as the voting delegate for the KAC 47th Annual Conference and Exhibition. John Ford as the first alternate, and myself, Catherine Bogan, as the second alternate.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to appoint the delegates for the KAC meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. Next, I have a cell phone allowance form for approval.
Go ahead and make a motion to approve the portable communication device allowance.
Please, where's he work?
That's the new IT network administrator.
Oh, okay. The names, but I couldn't.
Yeah, new name.
Yeah, it's a new name and
New
so
name.
you've only seen it once, yeah.
Yeah, so I had.
For sure.
Yeah, I would make a motion or second the motion.
Been moved and seconded to approve portable communication device allowance. All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman sign, please. Next, commissioners, I have Raleigh County personnel forms, Lacey Borthwick, customer service work 1, treasurer's office, separation of service. Keen Adolph, transfer as public works operator 2 in the public works department. Vaughn Colbert, appraiser 3 in appraiser's office, separation of service, been a long-term employee there. Priscilla Silva, as needed clerical assistant, human resources. Clerk's department, separation of service, and Lacey Jones, account clerk, emergency management, separation of service. Several, all 3 signed, please. Commissioners have any items for the joint city county meeting?
I do not. A lot of them.
Next, Commissioners, I need a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
Make a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
No, it's second that.
And then been seconded to approve payroll and accounts payables, all in favor?
All three sign, please. Commissioners, have any changes to the minutes?
See anything, it jumps out at me anyway.
Motion,
Would make a motion that we approve the minutes as written from the September 1st, 2022 meeting of the Riley County Commission.
Would second that.
And moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the September 1st meeting, all in favor?
I forgot the additional item, Commissioners, the contract for the sale of real estate for the purchase of the lot in the city of Leonardville for the North County EMS ambulance station.
Okay.
Need a motion on that.
Refresh my memory, that was in the amount of
$7,500. Yes.
And there's a split of some of the other costs between the
Sure.
parties, but they're pretty minimal.
Typical real estate.
Yeah, it was standard.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the contract of purchase of real estate.
I would second that.
And moved and seconded to approve the contract for purchase of real estate in Leonardville, all in favor?
Aye.
There are not tabs on here. There are.
That's $20 per cabinet to the county clerk.
It's just the chair.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Instead of pizza, we're shooting
There
for
are
lobster
clips in
this year.
there.
Yeah.
Filet mignon, lobster.
Okay.
You'll have to speak to whoever actually brought these in.
I'm just a happy cat.
I got broad shoulders. I can take it.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna make a motion. We charge everybody $20 this morning, except yours truly, of course.
For,
Died for the lack of a second.
Get a second on that motion.
Get a second on that.
Friends like this, who needs friends?
So I make a motion to charge Commissioner Ford $20. All in favor?
I would be in favor of that, but add another $20.
Took an ugly turn, didn't
Take a big turn.
I see a tab that says IOU on it. It's gonna get stapled to everything here really quick.
How do the tentative agenda look, Commissioners?
Good.
I have a question
Uh-huh.
on the 12th, you have down there on Board of County Commissioners, the law board application interview process.
Mhm.
Is that, I don't know if that's going to be a public thing at that point, so I don't know.
Yeah.
if we need to appoint that or, yeah, I know we're gonna have a meeting on, next Monday. Special law board meeting. Now, is this for the new commissioner or the new,
Well, at the end of this year, we have
director? The director?
Or law board members, not director, law. board
Okay, because it says, okay, okay, that's what I was.
Which really what we appoint to the
Okay.
board.
All
And
right,
the only real decision is whether it's gonna be public question and answer or just submit an application. The only thing we have to settle, because we've settled everything else on it. That's the only thing that
Okay.
has not
I-
been settled with the board.
I thought maybe that had to do with the director.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
we have no authority in that.
Okay, all right.
But also then you got county officials. Are we having, I know we,
Not unless you have an issue.
Did not have anything.
Department heads did not.
that's okay. That's what I just.
So it's up to the board if,
I'm glad you raised that, Chairman, because I told staff I would find out. So I'm going to take credit for the fact.
And again, everybody can go back to live stream and know that you had a pun in that.
that's what I said, but I was
I don't
gonna
tell them that we live stream.
They still don't know.
Yeah,
Probably true.
that would be news.
Oh, I don't have anything for
All right, we will cancel.
Okay, next commissioners, you have Clancy Holman at 9:00. So John,
Pretty good, pretty good.
good. Commissioners and Clancy, did you all want to attend the upcoming intergovernmental luncheon and want a meal?
Yes.
Rich, I don't have my agenda pulled up. What date is that?
Good question. September 26th.
Unfortunately, I will be out of town.
That's right. That's when commissioners, you get a rare opportunity to just have a great time that week because both Mr. Holman and I are gone. It's a rare opportunity.
Both at the same time.
I can still send Craig.
I've got dirt on Craig, so it's okay. I know things about his childhood. Okay.
It'd be an interesting meeting then, won't it?
I think I'm mean. I get on Cindy's bad side.
That would be the worst problem. Ever.
All the department heads are nice to Cindy.
Learn that quickly.
All of you want a meal, please.
Yes.
Depends on what it is.
It's Cocoa Bolos, so you know. Okay. I thought of you when I saw it.
Yeah.
I actually like that better than the box thing.
I do too.
Those boxes were bad. No, why they came down.
They're not bad. I just prefer the others.
No, I had like a ham sandwich. It's like, it was white bread, but they had just thrown about 6 slices of ham on it.
There was a
cheese.
ton of meat. The meat was about, I thought, boy, they didn't just skimpy on the meat, that's
They
for
just
sure.
threw it in there. This is hard to eat, so I took the whole thing apart. Very good.
All right.
Good morning, commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor. The commission agenda report I have before you today, as it says, is approval of an engagement letter with outside counsel. This is a formality that in the past we've not done. I think it's a change in policy of the firm. But Mary Carson, as you're aware, is a longtime bond counsel for the county. She is with us. She's one of the primary members of this firm in Wichita. She is very good, has a great background and great resources, even beyond what she personally may know about municipal city requirements. And so she'll be able to draw from that well of experience in terms of helping us develop, helping my office develop contracts to be presented to the various small cities in order to make good on the commitment the commissioners made during the run up to the election for the upcoming sales tax, which will replace at a lower rate the existing road and bridge sales tax. So we need to have an agreement in place with those cities that complies with law and that is enforceable and it doesn't have any buried problems within the text. And so Mary's assistance will be very worthwhile. So when you get past what even I would say the boilerplate, most of the engagement, that's what the gist of this is for. And I would recommend that the board approve this engagement letter, authorize the chairman to sign so we can cross the i's and dot the t's with her firm and thereby have access to her assistance in developing those agreements. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
Is that just because she has more experience with municipal and the?
I like the fact that well, first of all, she has such broad experience with cities and counties across the state. I'm confident we can craft something that will be legitimate and that will be enforceable and that the cities will be comfortable with so that they understand exactly what's being done to try and make them whole for what they're missing once the current road and bridge sales tax is. So yes, to me, that's a real attractive part of this. Plus, I just know Mary's a very good lawyer and she's very quick. She, as a good example, we have a resolution you'll see next week to complete a final formality with the existing road, with the upcoming sales tax, which will replace the current one. We have to have a resolution that formally levies the tax.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a separate department what's described in here. And it's interestingly enough, there's a deadline to provide that to the Department of Revenue because revenue, of course, the state actually collects the tax and then distributes it. And we have to have that in place. We're bumping up against the deadline for that, but we're going to make it by virtue of the fact that Mary is well aware of what those deadlines are. And in a conversation we had with her, Rich, and she volunteered. I believe that was a conversation where Rich was participating too, I think, found we were reminded that needed to be in place. And so that will get done. But it's an example of dealing with someone who faces those kinds of legal issues on a daily basis, not just with us, but with other municipalities.
Yeah, I had a city clerk that had already reviewed these minutes contact me. He says, is there a problem? Are we still going to be getting that money? I'm not sure what this is about, but yes, you are.
Well, and Mary suggested what we expect to do is provide agreements that not only have the correct legal I's and T's dotted, but also have exhibits so that anyone who signs it will know exactly how this is going to get done.
Okay. Because it will we can get our attorney work on it.
Well, in my constant quest to provide full employment to all lawyers, sure they need to get that. No, I'm kidding. That's obviously their choice.
It's a cult.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Rich.
Yeah, so the state will pay us and then we reimburse the city.
Well, it won't be, it's very important to know, it won't be out of the proceeds of that tax. It's a special purpose tax, the one that's replacing this one. The existing road and bridge sales tax, although it was for similar purposes, there was a different distribution formula in place under the law. And it actually required reimbursements to all the cities in the county. What this new agreement will do is distribute money from the general fund, not from the proceeds of the tax, because it's a special purpose tax. And the money raised from it can only be used for what the ballot question said. And the ballot question said, obviously, it's money that goes to the county, for those purposes for 5 years. And it's a great question because that's why we need to make distributions out of the general fund, which we're set up to do. That's what we intend to do. during the course of those 5 years. But we're going to tell them, the idea was just simply to say to the small cities, as the board committed to during, as I said, the run up to the new tax, is to try and make them whole for what they would have received had the current road and bridge sales tax remained in place. So that's the idea.
Is the idea then to make it just a fixed amount for the next 5 years, or is it going to be adjusted to the?
We haven't
What our
developed all the
revenue is.
details, but what it's based on, it will be that it's based on what some information that we drew from the Treasury Office primarily. Shiloh and Hager put together some information that shows the history of what was distributed to the small cities. And so we're going to try and come up with something that's fair based on that history. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but it will be fair. And it's going to be based on past distributions. After the first distribution, what will probably happen, which we've had a question already about, what about during the time from January 1 up until the budget preparation? There may need to be a distribution first. The first distribution may need to be made out of the current general fund in order to make sure there's not a gap. But then on subsequent years, it'll be part of the budget preparation. That's kind of what we're anticipating. Hasn't been settled yet, because that's why I need to work with Mary on this. We're thinking there will be separate appropriations each year by the board to fulfill the commitments in that existing agreement.
Then will it be paid once a year then?
That's
Instead of monthly?
That's kind of what we're thinking.
Because right now they're getting it monthly.
Yeah. Again, we haven't settled those details.
Okay, like that. Yeah. I know.
We haven't settled those details, but I will tell you that what the goal will be to replace those funds that they otherwise would be getting.
Right.
However we get it done and however we need to do it well.
I think the interesting thing here, and actually something that's good at this particular point in time, keep in mind that even though it's now strictly ad valorem and not sales tax, it will actually balance itself out because the amount we're not taking out of sales tax will still be available there. So it's kind of like a sleight of hands, kind of a teeter-totter type of thing. So we're not losing anything, we're not gaining anything, we're just kind of moving that around. But second part of that is this will actually, if I understand it correctly, will actually give us a little bit of flexibility, or future commissions of flexibility to add or to move around depending on circumstances, depending on things that happen, instead of it being based strictly off of I believe it's a population formula that's involved in then the current one. So,
Well, I think that's embedded in that statutory formula,
right.
because it's a given percentage of each amount as they came in, and under the existing tax, there really was no discretion because it just, the formula that exists in the law, that's how it would be divided up.
Here it gives us the freedom to do that instead of it being basically statutory required by the state. So there's some challenges with this. There's some issues with this, but there's also a few positives embedded in it too. So it's just something to take into consideration.
And you'll see a draft agreement. I mean, this isn't going to be something that's going to be signed and then we present to you, to sign off on it. You'll see it, you'll approve it before it's provided to the small cities, so that they're comfortable with it as well and know what's being proposed.
And we may even come to the board, because we worked on this early on with a couple of options. Okay, do you want to do it based on the average? Do you want to do it based on the average, plus some percentage, yearly? And then also, I kind of think it'd probably be best if we gave it to them quarterly. That's better than semi-annual for them, because remember, if we pay it all up front first, we don't have that money yet to get them.
Yeah.
So, we want to get them the money, and I think quarterly for them is better than semi-annual, but we may decide semi-annual, but you guys will get presented the information. You guys will be the authority to.
I was curious about that too. And I talked to Clancy yesterday about it, and that was one of my thoughts too, particularly trying to make the transition from current one to the new one. I knew there's going to be a gap in there. I just didn't know how long or what process we can use, because I'm sure Commissioner McKinley would agree on each one of those small communities use that money for something
it's very important.
Very important. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we did budget for it, remember? So we
Correct.
did anticipate it. So we did budget for it. And I think answering your question, Commissioner McKinley, Mary Carson really specialized in bond and financing. And that's what we use her a lot for with our financial advisor. So that's really her specialty, bond financing and all those intricacies, because it's very detailed. So we've used her for a long time, and that's where her expertise lies.
And I'm very concerned as Mary becomes more and more experienced, as we all do, I don't want her to quit. So that's just a personal preference, but she's really good. And her firm is well respected. And like I said, it gives a deep well to draw from. She herself volunteered that she had access to some of the attorneys that perhaps exclusively in that firm, almost exclusively deal with cities rather than counties.
And I'm just confused from something I heard on the radio the other day, is if our new sales tax is replacing our sales taxes going off, or if the city's is, because the city says their tax is replacing our taxes going off.
Good luck with that.
Well, I tend to think that ours isn't really changing anything. We're doing the exact same thing we did the 20 years prior. The city's veering off and doing some, I'm not going to say bad things, but they're doing something different. Take it at face value.
Clancy, what fund will we take the attorney fees out of? How does she get paid?
Well, this would normally be either out of my budget or out of the general fund. So,
It wouldn't be charged back to the cities.
oh, no.
Okay.
This isn't part of that. No.
All right.
These are just our
Hopefully it wouldn't
expenses.
take that long. That'd be a large expense to start with. It should be.
It isn't coming out of those.
Okay.
And again, the source of those will be the general fund. And it will not be from anything that's promised. I mean, it's gonna, whatever formula the board ends up approving, whatever rationale or methodology you approve of generating those appropriations, that's what we're gonna use.
Okay.
It won't diminish any amount that's being distributed. Like I said.
All right.
Do you have any questions? I've got a couple minutes left here. If you have any questions on anything pending, you've only got 5 minutes for the next item. Construction manager at risk.
Did we get a motion on this?
No.
Sorry, I was reading the room. Sorry.
Oh, you read it wrong.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that the board approve this engagement letter with the firm of Triplet Wolf and Garrison.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve contract with Triplet Wolf Garrison. All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, sign please.
Thank you very much.
Why is
Commissioner,
that an attorney thing? There's a question for you. Every firm has to have 3 names in it. Even if it's O'Brien, O'Brien, and O'Brien. If they're all from the same family, can't it just be O'Brien's?
you'd be surprised. And the names have really morphed over the years. The traditional way of naming firms is very different now than what it used to be. Normally you'd have off to the side a whole bunch of counsel rather than partners. I would submit almost nobody can agree on what that means. We know you're not a partner, but what is a counsel? So, and different firms obviously have their own internal organizations where they make all kinds of decisions about how it works. But do you have any questions, for example, about the next item? By chance, I want to just make it available. If you have any questions about the legal side of it, I want to give you a chance to ask those, and certainly we can do it during John's 5 minutes.
It was stealing your 5 minutes to begin with.
That was with permission. So, all right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Next, Commissioner, you have John Ellerman, Public Safety Headquarters request to use construction management at risk.
I do. Question for that is probably going to you. Is why do we have to wait till 29th to have this meeting?
Because the statute requires that it be at least 15 days after the publication notice, and the fastest we can get publication notice after today is that date. And it's actually occurs on the 16th day after publication, because anticipating the board will likely approve it. We've already made arrangements to immediately get it over to the newspaper. And the statute requires it has to be published in the official county paper at least 15 days before the public meeting. And they don't even call it a public hearing, although that's what it is. Following the language of the statute to make sure that we have lawful authority to use that alternative delivery system for procurement. Used to be counties couldn't do construction manager, couldn't do the other version too.
Design build.
Design build. Yeah, I was losing the name of the process, but this is a very special process, and we have to do it that way because the statute's mandatory.
I'm pretty sure the statute was developed, came up with by the firm O'Brien's.
They pretty much do it all the work for the state. Well, we might as well start that rumor.
Like Brian is, yeah.
Yeah,
Of council.
Ryan.
apparently they're all from the same country too.
Okay. So we already followed that out.
Right.
John.
John Ellerman, Public Works, and as you were discussing, we're talking about construction manager at risk for the public safety headquarters. As Clancy said, statutes dictate how and what we need to do to be able to use that method of procurement for the project. So in my memo stated KSA 19216D, and in some sections B and B1 and B5 are the ones that we're using to justify using the request for CMAR. We feel that it will serve public interest by providing substantial savings of time and or money over the traditional design bid build process. And number 5 is just that by doing this process, we're not playing favoritism to any particular contractor. So that's what this request was for the request to use it and to start the advertisement for the public meeting on the 29th. I didn't say in the memo, and I don't know if you read the statute, the steps we're going to be taking now and your involvement in these steps. The public meeting, then that would be the day you decide whether we can use CMAR or not. And then at that meeting, I will have the request for qualifications ready for you to approve. Once you approve the method. From them, then we'll send those out to interested contractors as well as advertising for that too. So we'll get some probably from outside that hasn't contacted us already.
Yeah, I would say you already been contacted by several.
I have at least 3. I'm not sure if the architects had a few more. I know he did send one our way the other day. So I have at least 3 names that are interested. So yeah, we got some interest already. The RFQ will come once we receive packets of that. The board per statute is now involved in the selection of those contractors. We'll pick 3 to 5 contractors, depending on how many we get or how many we like. Minimum of 3. We'll send those requests for proposals and set up interviews. So with those 3. And commission will be involved in those 2. So we'll have to figure out some dates that we can maybe try to do them in one day and get the commission there all at the same time too. So that is mine. I think we're just looking for approval of the meeting, public meeting, if that's.
Yep, notice of public meeting, need a motion on that.
I want to be reminded, didn't we discussed this and we talked about why the architects cannot provide this service? I'm trying to remember what we came up with.
The architect is doing the design. These are the guys the contractors that will build the project, responsible for the construction.
But I was saying that they were going to provide, when the original contract, I was thinking they were going to provide that type of service.
They will be involved in the selection as basically advisors to us. They will give their recommendations, but they won't have a vote on who we choose.
Correct, but through the entire process, they're going to be working side by side with whoever we select as construction manager at risk. It seems like a lot more hands-on approach from this architect with that group throughout the entire process. They'll be working together. But yeah, it was always presented that we would go to the construction manager at risk, which, I mean, either way, design, bid, build, you're going to have a contractor as well.
Right.
I mean,
And here, though, there is, as the title implies, that prime contractor has significant risk because it's a guaranteed price. Guaranteed maximum.
See, and their involvement in design is to, let them know what, certain things are too high or too, you can't get to certain things. Don't use that kind of stuff. It's not available right now.
mhm.
And or if the design saying, you know, we found this way works. It's more economical with this system and that, and stuff like that, to kind of advise the architect if they see things, because they'll be involved reviewing the plans, the different steps that the architect puts together.
Yeah, and most of these firms that do this have a pretty good idea and a pretty good pulse.
It's been going on.
We talked about it back in my day, and that's, well, I'd rather not say, but it's been a while. It's
Yeah,
been-
construction manager at risk has been very popular for like the last decade.
But, like when I was in Leavenworth, it started in Kansas City or 25 years ago, started picking up steam then. And it's so most of these, and I don't know who we're gonna get, but most of them, it's not a new thing.
It's not.
All got systems set up to do these things.
It is a very different approach there from design bid build, because you will be directly involved at the front end of the project and have an opportunity to hear from people in executive sessions and ask questions.
And I think really, hopefully, one of the benefits that I see after going through the LEC and then our shop side is the construction design method. I mean, it's kind of, that is how we went with the LEC, and you get low bid, and sometimes, as with our LEC, you get what you get with low bid, which was not good.
It's important step by step to do this properly for what it's going to be and who it's going to service and the service it's going to provide. I mean, if it takes us to 2028 to actually get it done, but anyway. But yeah, it's important to start the process correctly to see it all the way through, because this is going to be a facility that's going to be there for generations to come. And I think that's the important thing to keep in mind here. I was just kidding, David.
David, do you want the building named after you or not?
Evan, can you go to AED? You have a motion, commissioners?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and move that the board accept the request to use the construction management at risk procurement process and approve the notice of public meeting for comment and final decision on September 29th, 2022.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to accept the request to use construction manager at risk procurement process and approve the public meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, sign, please. Thank you. Here's estimates underneath there. This morning.
They used to do water out there. They gave that up.
Oh, thanks, sir.
It's got us, okay.
Time for the bid opening.
Okay. Looks like we have a bid opening for University Park Water District expansion and Lakeside Heights utility extension. Bid number one I have is from Larson Construction. That's here in Manhattan. I'm gonna start off with the engineering. Yeah. Total estimated construction cost, this is from S&M Consultants, is $325,545.
So the commission knows that's the engineer's estimate, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mentioned the only bid that we have for the project is from Larson Construction, which is
Now, this for, the lagoon.
No,
This
no.
is for.
To Lakeside Heights,
Lakeside Heights.
but they're in their system tied in.
I thought it was pretty low. Yeah, pretty low. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they haven't started anything on the.
It's starting to roll.
What's that
Okay.
base bid? Okay. So if I get through the paperwork here, it looks like with everything included, they're offering the base bid of $329,641.
That's not good. Back to the drawing board.
Go ahead and pass all that along.
That's funny.
Yeah.
There's this one again. Okay. All right, the engineer estimate from SMH Consultants is $325,545. Bid from Larson. Okay, and there's a bid bond.
Yeah.
Attached.
Yeah. There's a number attached to it. With some listed.
Yeah. And. No bid from Larson Construction, $329,641. Proposed working days, 100. March, start date of March 23.
Motion, commissioners?
Go ahead and make a motion that's we'll go ahead and take the bids back over to staff for final review and recommendation.
I would second that.
And moved and seconded to forward the bids to the staff for review and recommendations. All in favor?
Aye.
And Commissioner, give Charlotte Hager 9:30. Have a good one.
Is there any phone rings out or does it have to be under that? Well, it has to be under SFP to accept it. So it'll depend on the places that they have, within so much, within a certain percentage.
It's supposed to be like 10%.
Yeah.
And
They're not our.
they'll need to come back with a recommendation. And that's the key. I'm sure John and I will be talking about this.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
not going to go as smoothly as we would like. Everyone's having trouble keeping up with costs.
So when it's that close, it gets.
And both that's seems a little high to me, but I don't understand all the costs of it.
Everything is high right now, John. I tell you, it is unreal.
Keep in mind, we've got a major hurricane developing at the moment too.
You trying to cheer us up?
No, I'm just trying to be realistic, that's all.
I don't see the weather.
It's out in the Atlantic, it's a low category 2 right now.
Yeah.
It's still developing and still got a ways off. On that note,
Always helps.
Shiloh will tell us something positive this morning.
Oh, I thought you were gonna compare me to our hurricane.
Oh, no.
Good morning, Commissioner Shiloh Hager, Riley County Treasurer, here with the August revenue reports. Pretty good month for the month of August, pretty stable. We ended up the month with a balance in the general fund of 24,593,999.67, which is about $5.2 million higher than what the general fund balance was as of August 31st of 2021. You can see we're still 14 million in ARPA funds that are still sitting there. Our total month end fund balance for the entire county was 73,094,208.97. And we had a balance and total funds last year of just over 58 millions. When I take out all of the ARPA funds, we are about 7.8 million higher in total fund balances than we were at this time last year. Our revenue, investment income for the month, year to date, we have 275,695.14. A big reason for that, you can see here that our interest rate on the active checking account for the month of August was 2.65%. And I was able to secure some CD bids, actually was in a treasury note of 3.075% for August. So we will be earning some income on some of those investments that we've got in place. Our general fund revenue for the month of August was 902,997.86. Part of that included why that's a little bit higher, included some reimbursements from the insurance company for the recent tornado damage. So that you can see here in the general fund, that was a pretty big amount of money that was deposited here in August. Year to date, through the month of August, we're at 8.8% over what was budgeted for revenues through the end of August. And you can see we've collected a total for the total year, we've collected 94.88% of total revenues for the year. Any questions so far? Okay. Sales tax, the Riley County portion of sales tax that we got to retain for the month of August was $377,123.66. That is, sorry, I lost my place here. You can see here that was 13.24% higher than last year and 33% over what we have budgeted for the month. Year to date, we're at 18.04% over what we have budgeted for sales tax for 2022. And these represent June sales. And then here's your breakdown of the total sales. Sorry, this is not cooperating with me today. Total sales tax. We are 11.23% year to date, higher than we were at this time last year. And for the month of August, 15.94% higher than what we brought in sales tax for last year. Here are just the breakdown of the different types, and everything is up except for two little categories. Any questions on that? Use tax was up 10.84% compared to use tax last year. So pretty stable, as you know, nothing's really changed, I don't see. So any questions or anything else, anything I can provide on the numbers? All right, just a few things that are coming up. Just wanted to give you a reminder that the letters P, Q, and R have to be renewed by the end of September. We will be doing the next tax distribution is due on September 20th. So that'll be coming up. We will be publishing delinquent personal property tax information in the paper the first 3 weekends in October, or the first 2 Tuesdays in October. And just to let you know, I will be in Overland Park next week for the KCTA Fall Conference. And then I have been asked to present with KCTA. We will be presenting at KAC to the commissioners at their affiliate meeting to talk about the motor vehicle fee bill that we're going to be going for legislation again after the first of the year. So we would like to just bring the commissioners up to speed on what we're doing and try to generate commission support, as well as, because it's really, as we've discussed, it's not just a treasurer issue. It really is a county issue that we would like to bring you up to speed on and just show you, kind of give you our approach, and hopefully we will garner some support from commissioners.
Is that on our legislative summit this year, Clancy?
I'm sorry, I was in the other room. I don't even know what we're talking about.
The motor vehicle.
We can add it. I did not.
It's not
put it
on
in there. No.
Couldn't
It is on KAC's
Yeah.
platform
Yeah.
as for the treasurers
Right.
as a total. But any support that we can get from,
Might be a good discussion to have with our local delegation. As we post that, so,
Yeah, it's easy enough to add.
okay.
Great.
Okay.
all right. So we will. Am I okay to move on to my next issue? Which I was hoping I wasn't going to have to
Oh,
do this in a while, but here we are. So once again, I feel like I jinx myself whenever I do this car. For one, I then have to turn around and have it updated, because now I have 2 open positions that, as of late, I've had 2 of my customer service rep ones turn in resignations. And so I am here asking for your blessing to be able to go out and get applicants to fill these 2 positions. I would like to say it was very, very nice over the summer to actually have a full staff, especially with, our vacation season happens in the summer. That's when a lot of people are gone. So it really does make a difference to have full staff. And just to give you an example, for next week, I have 1 on vacation. I have 2 going to training. I have 1 who has already left. So that's going to be 5 off the counter on Thursday and Friday of next week. So I have made the decision on those 2 days. We will not be offering any driver's license services. So I blocked those days off for appointments. Just because I feel motor vehicle is our priority over driver's license transactions. So you can just see when these things come up, it just helps to have a full staff in place to make sure that we have the coverage that we need. We will be approaching tax season, where processing those tax payments does take staff time, and it would just be nice to have everybody in place, hopefully before then. So that is my ask for this morning.
I'll go ahead and move to approve the request to fill the open customer service 1 positions in the Riley County Treasurer's Office.
I would second that.
And moved and seconded to approve on the open for customer service positions. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you so much.
Sign, please.
Thanks, Commissioner. Do you have chamber comments? Yeah.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Look up and all of a sudden you're sitting in the computer.
Everybody, like it's not Thursday, but it doesn't feel.
So it's all discussion about. It's very common. Sharing this to this market. Here, most people experience years. That was 3 hours with
Oh, yeah.
60 plus the things are $17. I want.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So Janet and Derek, good. So you're on TV this morning, bright and early.
Hey. Had a good.
Did a good job.
Thank
Very
you.
good job.
I hope so.
Ready, commissioners?
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having us today. Darren Sullivan, Director of Economic Development. Excuse me. The Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. I just want to update on some kind of across the board on some economic development activity. And then Janet's going to talk on the military and Fort Riley side of things. You also have George Kant from our office will be in next week. He's on your schedule for next week to present our business conditions report and talk a little bit more about our business retention expansion program. So I'll kind of skip over some of that today, but I look forward to that presentation from George. He does a nice job of that and has really built that program up. Be a real strong part of our efforts and good way for us to collect both feedback from the business community and be able to aggregate that and report data. But be perfectly honest, the really valuable piece of that too is George has uncovered some strong local expansion opportunities from some businesses by going through that effort, as well as trying to address some challenges and some issues that folks have as well. So appreciate all his work on that, and you'll hear more from that next week. I'm going to hit some on job. You kind of look at our strategic initiatives in economic development, jobs, talent, entrepreneurship, and innovation. I'm going to touch a little bit on each of those. On the jobs front, from a business attraction standpoint, it's been an active last couple of months. If you go back to the last week of July, so that the last month and a half, we've had 5 visits from companies from outside the area, out of town, and into the region. Those are looking at a variety of different locations, whether it be office space, existing buildings, or land to build on. But I think 5 visits over the course of about a month and a half is obviously indicative of a strong pipeline, but also indicative of the fact that a lot of those community visit isn't the first thing many times on the list for those folks. They're working through a process and they look at multiple locations and everything else. So getting them to that point is really important. And of course, this region and this community sells really well once we get them here. So I'm excited about what that's going to look like, and I think we've got some more things coming down the pipeline there. From an overall prospect standpoint, about 45 current projects on the prospect list. Where those kind of fit, but even at the top of those lists, if you start breaking down by industry, but 17 of them in manufacturing, another 17 of them that fall into bio, agriculture, ag tech, animal health category. So, and of course, some of those also fit into that manufacturing piece. Like we've shared before, you start looking at where a lot of our strengths lie in this region, as far as ag tech, animal health, biosecurity. There's obviously a making something component to a lot of that, a manufacturing component to that. And so high-tech manufacturing, biosecurity, animal health are all things that we prioritize regionally from an economic development standpoint, also things that the state of Kansas prioritizes, and we're seeing some good activity in those areas. So going forward, and we will continue to update you. I think it's an exciting time on the business attraction front. I mentioned George will be in to talk some about our local efforts with existing business. That's also an important part of the pipeline from a job creation standpoint. We don't want to just always talk about business attraction. The reality is that local business growth and growing your own is vital to any economic development program, as the foundation of that. On that front, entrepreneurship plays into that as well. Obviously, the things that we're trying to do to support entrepreneurship and small business. I can tell you there are some efforts underway right now. We've got a working group going on entrepreneurial funding. And so looking at a couple different programs, we've got to visit with some other communities to better understand how they're addressing entrepreneurial funding, whether that's from an equity standpoint or from programs like revolving loans, and that sort of thing, and are actively engaged and meeting right now, trying to develop some of those things locally. We think that that's going to be an important piece of kind of helping develop more startups, leverage technology and things coming out of the university, but also as we see private sector growth, with company announcements like Scorpion, you're bringing in people that are talented, are well educated, are in many cases at a point in a career, they may be the ones that start spinning other things out. And so we've got to be ready to support those types of entrepreneurial efforts, and our funding is key to that. So funding and talent is what we always hear as being key efforts, and having some additional funding sources is going to be important. Also hosted an event, a regional event for bankers, commercial lenders last week, and brought in some partners from Network Kansas, from the Kansas Department of Commerce, from the SBA, and had them present about some different funding programs. The community funds through Network Kansas are something we started to leverage more frequently in Riley County. They have some new programs coming down the pipeline specifically geared towards minority and women-owned businesses that we're going to have local control over, just like the community loans. And so I think that's going to be important. You know, we've seen Project Up in Riley. We just did a ribbon cutting yesterday for car wash over on Fort Riley Boulevard. They received, the new owners there received an e-community loan to help with some of that effort of getting that cleaned up and reopened. And so I think we see more of those types of projects. And if we can get a funding component in them, give them more options when it comes to small business funding, we're going to be better off. On another issue related to small business and entrepreneurship, childcare. Obviously, that's something that we've heard from us before with our childcare task force that's been ongoing here for about the last year. At the chamber, there was an application made to the state as part of that for related to some SPARK funding, and then the rural economic development committee here at the county, as well as some of the folks from extension, I know are really prioritizing that. And again, appreciate the opportunity to be on that rural economic development committee. There's some real good work going on there. They're going to have an event coming up in October, which I'm sure Gary Fike and some of the other folks that are involved in will be updating you on further. But an event in October focused around childcare and bringing some folks from Thrive Allen County. They're doing some really good things down there in the southeast part of the state with regards to childcare. And so I appreciate the efforts from the county to prioritize that, and it's exciting. We're starting to get, we've had a real strong group involved. Like I said, at the chamber over the course of the last year, it's really good that we're starting to get I think a groundswell from across the community, and that's going to be important. So, and then lastly, from my end, I'll talk a little bit about talent. Fall is always an important time of year from our talent effort standpoint, because if you think about it, the majority of graduating college students that are looking for jobs are, if you don't have something lined up already that you did an internship for and you've got a job offer, fall career fair season is really where a lot of that work gets done. Spring gets a little late, although there's always some stragglers, but so we're just jumping into fall career fair season. Amber Wilcom on our team will be out starting next week she's in the Hayes on Monday. Kicking off that, and that really goes strong here from this first part of September through about the middle of October. Universities, colleges, and then we've also got some veteran-related events in there as well that Amber's working really closely with Janet on at Fort Riley and elsewhere. So that's an important part of our talent efforts, and she's out promoting Manhattan area job opportunities to, in this case, graduating seniors for the most part, but there's also internship opportunities, grad student opportunities, those sort of things. And then we also kicked off our classroom career program last week. And so that's 39 fourth grade classes across Riley and Potawatomi County school districts. And so we've got business lined up with every single one of those fourth grade classes, and talking to those students about getting them some conceptualize careers a little bit, conceptualize what they might want to think about doing when they grow up, for lack of a better term. And that's been a great program. This is, I believe, year 5 of that deposit for a couple of years there during COVID, but appreciate all the businesses that have engaged in that. And it's really exciting to make that a regional effort across multiple counties. And then the last piece there, as it relates to talent, but also ties in a number of our other programs, is there is a professional mentor program that's being developed. And that's really a partnership between our established business leaders group that's new, that been working on over the course of the last several months to kick that off. Hype, the young professionals group, and then Spark that's heading up a lot of the entrepreneurial ecosystem efforts. And so we're trying to bring together young professionals and business owners with this established business leaders group and create a structured mentorship program there so you can match folks up. So there's a young professional looking for some guidance, or a business owner looking for some guidance from someone that's walked down that path and done that. I think this mentorship program is going to really be a beneficial component of all that. And it's exciting to see multiple different groups come together on something like that and push it forward. So that's something more information on. I think we'll probably bring in some of the people in the future meeting that are part of that and present a little more detail. We just want to give you a heads up that that's coming down the pike. So appreciate it. With that, I'll hand it over to Janet.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come present to you. I'm Janet Nichols. I'm the military community liaison for the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to start off with the news was released this week that 2nd Brigade is deploying to Eastern Europe later this year. So they're just back from NTC. I think they're still waiting on their equipment to get here, but they will be leaving later this year, and it should be for 9 months. So that was released this week. I think kind of planned, since they were at their second NTC rotation this year, that they were likely going to go. So that was released by the Army this week. Coming up is Fort Riley Day at K-State on September 17th. Wildcats are playing Tulane. It is the best game of the year. Unfortunately, we don't have the tailgate this year. All that construction kind of prohibitive of that. So they are getting a ticket and a voucher for food to use at the concessions. So had to make the best of that one, but hopefully one day we'll get that tailgate back. But it's going to be a great day, and I think there's going to be a lot of presence. It's a great recruiting opportunity that day. So I think we'll see a lot of folks, a lot of static displays, and maybe hopefully a nice flyover. So we'll see. I'm sure they got a lot planned. Fort Riley Apple Day is on Saturday, the 24th. Their big celebration of all things Fort Riley, static displays, demonstrations from the Commanding General's Mounted Color Guard, and of course, apple pie. So thank you for buying apple pie, Commissioner, for supporting the Historical and Archaeological Society of Fort Riley. Also, I forgot to mention the day before, on the 23rd of September at the State Capitol at 1:30 is the unveiling, or I'm not sure if it's the groundbreaking or the unveiling of the Gold Star Monument on the Capitol. It's on the South Lawn. There's a veterans pathway. And so we were, believe it or not, Kansas was one of the few states that did not have a Gold Star Memorial for the families of those who have fallen and those who have fallen on behalf of our country. So that is Saturday, the 23rd. It is, Friday, the 23rd, pardon me. It is open to the public, and it's on the South Lawn at 1:30 of the State Capitol. Also, I'm in the throes of planning AUSA. Again, thank you, Commissioner, for attending. AUSA is the Association of the United States Army. We will be attending their annual meeting. There's a lot going on there, including some hill visits. Hopefully, we'll get to visit with some high up people at the social we throw. We get a lot of One ID alumni, and also some pretty high people up in the DOD, and any of our federal delegations in town that week. It is a federal holiday week. They tend to pop in at that as well. So that's always really good. I am working a lot, as Darren mentioned, with Amber Wilhelm, our Talent Strategies Coordinator. Coming up on the 13th of this month, we have the Patriot Day Career Fair in Junction City. So that is for transitioning soldiers. I'll be working that with her. We are working on the KEEP Tour, which is Kansas Employment Exploration Program. And that is a tour of Manhattan and the area where we'll be visiting. We'll be starting off at K-State. We'll be visiting at MATC. We'll have some presentations from local employers. Also, we'll visit some employers, give a little bit of a tour of Manhattan in that. So that is coming up that'll be in November 17th. And also we've been working a lot with the Transition Assistance Program on Fort Riley. We've started attending their employer networking program, which is once a month. And it's and what we do is we promote the jobs page that we have on our Made for Manhattan page, and we're trying to get a lot of awareness out on that, especially on Fort Riley. So we don't have any hiring authority. We're there with employers, but we can present on behalf of area employers and get the word out that way through the Chamber's job page. And then thank you, Commissioner Funky, for coming yesterday to our MRC lunch. Our next MRC lunch is October 5th at 4 points. So I appreciate your support of that. If you have any questions, let me know. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Yesterday was really good.
Yeah, I saw you on TV as well, too.
What?
I saw you on TV as well this morning there.
Where? Really?
Uh-huh.
Yep, you were on there and Jack was
Yeah, you're in the video. There's a lot of people in the video. It's on the WIBW. If you-
Oh, okay.
It's on the MRC page. I posted it.
Okay, I didn't realize I was on TV.
They're everywhere.
Good to know.
Thanks, Evan.
Right, first thing this morning.
You were sitting under a working fan.
Was I? That was really cold in there. You know, the hotels stay are really cold.
Everyone else looked comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
I was sitting next to Sydney and she was really cold.
Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
I guess with that said, I'll go ahead and make a motion to recess as the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as Board of Health. All in favor?
Aye.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My monthly update, and as usual, I'll start with the budget to actual that Shelley has provided for August. So these are the explanations as to the highlighted areas, nothing out of the ordinary here. It's always usually due to timing of payments with the grants, most of being reimbursement-based grants. And then with the expenses, it's either due to something not being budgeted for as in our contact tracers, or again, timing of expenses. Any questions on the budget?
Would be nice maybe once in a while to get a sheet that we can read a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is, it's pretty
That's still.
Yeah, I understand putting it on here. It probably doesn't work, but maybe that's something that you can
just,
perhaps Shelley email or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
sure.
That sheet can be rearranged.
Yeah, something. You know,
It's,
Yeah.
even at, well, 300%, you can read it. But
You want to see whole pieces.
yeah, full pieces of it.
Yeah, I can easily provide a printout or an email.
Okay.
Yep, sure. All right, so I have no staff updates. Knock on wood, we're fully staffed right now.
You couldn't get a fence.
Say it.
You can't stop
Say
yourself.
things are going well. Shiloh already.
Yeah.
Represent.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might have wiped out somebody in the treasury.
Yeah,
They may all be gone by the time you get back.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, we just had one start today, new MCH home visitor, Sarah Darnell, we do from Community Corrections. That's our newest staff member. Other than that, I'm going to go right into program updates. Jan Scheidemann will be joining you here a little bit later at 10:30. She's going to give a detailed update on Raising Riley and her program. So I'll start with MCH. The student therapists currently have a total of 9 clients on their caseload at the FCRC building. 2 are Spanish speaking, as we do have one of our therapists who is Spanish speaking. So that definitely helps. So that partnership with KSU Family Center provides free therapy sessions for any health department client and fulfills a community need of bilingual therapists who serve our Spanish speaking population. MCH program did submit the Memorial Hospital Foundation grant. This is for BAM, Becoming a Mom, prenatal education incentives, maternal and infant postpartum nurse visit incentives, and weekly home visiting incentives for families who fully participate and meet their goals. Additionally, the Riley County Perinatal Coalition submitted the Memorial Hospital Association grant application for the 2022-23 grant year to continue funding the Riley County Perinatal Grant, which provides low-cost prenatal care to those who qualify and do not have access to insurance. In September, MCH partnered with KSU Extension to provide a financial workshop to clients and the community. This is free of charge. And this will be a series held on 3 consecutive Tuesdays in October. So you can register to complete the series in person, or you can choose to do so online. And again, it's free to anyone who chooses to attend. So this is the flyer that we put out on social media, and that will again be available start in October. As far as clinic updates, we have a lot of outreach clinics coming up, and more to be scheduled. But these are the ones that are scheduled so far. So we'll be visiting Riley County employees on September 27th and 28th. That's a flu vaccination clinic and COVID boosters. We'll be at Flint Hills Job Corps on September 30th. That will be COVID primary series only. They are getting flu vaccines from the Department of Labor, so they suggested that we do the COVID primary series with that population. will be at USD 378 in Riley on October 4th for their staff. We'll be with the City of Manhattan employees on 3 different dates, October 10th, 12th, and 13th. We'll be at USD 383 for their staff on October 14th. That's a non-school day, in-service day for the staff. We'll be at the CRC on October 20th for our annual Oktoberfest. And we still have yet to schedule Florence Corporation, but we will be there at the end of October. So all of these will be flu vaccination clinics along with the COVID booster, except for the Flint Hills Job Corps. That's the COVID primary only. So speaking of the booster, information came out about the bivalent booster. We did order as soon as it was available. I just checked with Jacob and he has not received those doses yet. It said they told Jacob next week would be the earliest we'd get those in. There was a Kansas HON that did come out last week, I believe it was last week, saying we could no longer offer the monovalent booster. So right now we're not offering any boosters. We're not allowed to offer any booster right now until we get the bivalent in. So hopefully that will be next week. We'll be able to offer that. As far as WIC updates, not a lot to update here. Kathy Jones is one of our WIC dietitians. She is starting a new series called Introduction to Solids. So that will be along with our new Becoming a Family class that the MCH program is offering. So she will offer that for the first time this month. They do have busy clinics, as you saw from last month with my updates. So they're very busy with their clinics and they're very busy with outreach as well. They did a lot of outreach events throughout the summer. As far as childcare licensing, scroll over here, they are down to actually 9 complaints. I just met with Heather yesterday and it said 10, but as of yesterday, it's 9 complaints. So back to the single digits. So that's good to know. They also have 9 initials they're currently conducting. They have 16 individuals that attended orientation between the months of July and August. The childcare licensing team did participate in the Dickinson County baby shower where they saw 65 pregnant moms. And Heather was asked to continue serving on the statewide early childhood systems improvement team with KDHE. I've also included the facilities by number for the month of September, as I usually do on this slide. And then as far as grant updates, I did submit the Zero Suicide Grant along with 2 letters of support, one from Robin Cole and one from Lori Bishop. So I was glad to get that submitted. So we'll hopefully find out at the end of this month if we do receive that funding. We also submitted, the Flint Hills Wellness Coalition did submit the Memorial Hospital Association grant for the bed bug and lice prevention program that we were planning, and they did get word back that they received $6,800 for the year. That's a little under half of what we asked for, but we're still glad to get some funding for that. So we'll start planning for that program here shortly. And with that, I think that's it. Any questions?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next commissioner, Dan Sherman at 10:30. We got a bit of a break. How's Lexi doing?
Good.
Good. Ready for the weekend?
Yeah.
Almost a little late to say that now, isn't it?
What's that?
I'm almost late to say, did you have a good weekend when it's Thursday and almost the day?
Friday. I don't know what. Okay, I'll have it. Okay.
Long story short, sound like me. You sound like me.
Older ones, you have to
Keep it running, yeah. Well, yeah, and we. Yeah, it's fine. It gives you the mix and the sign after that. Let's see, I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Well, it's important. Does that work or?
Well, he's coming in.
At 10:30, so.
We need to.
Yeah, because I don't have to. Get after me, so whatever. you have to do.
Yeah, okay.
Child care. And. It's anybody. There's not necessarily one.
But I don't.
Any probably need background checks, all those kinds of things, but I did. A person. Maybe there's ones that work, you know, it's like, oh, the most get into this and we'll do really come up with ways. Yeah, yeah, but that's low. Yeah. It could be more of a professional. Or. Yeah, you might check on this, yeah. Yeah, we didn't do this. Yes, like, you know, that's why I was saying. I would have been, you know, it's all those kinds of things. Yeah. Anyway, I was.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, good to see you, Cheryl.
Yeah, okay. All right. But yeah, we told stuff. That's right.
Yeah.
Not as good in the words.
Yeah. I've heard that from.
Exactly.
Tools, working with, and some of the things like that.
Okay.
I don't know if they have anybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Okay.
So that was well. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't see this.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about it Friday.
Okay.
You want me to send you an email? Okay, you put it on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just kind of run it.
Okay, see, I'm still. Okay.
Yeah. I have that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know. To grab my coffee.
Hello.
Yeah, it's just that, it's just- Okay, yeah. Yeah. So,
Appreciate the information.
sure.
I know, I do too. One. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Everything going. Yeah. Yes. Sure not. Yeah. Okay, what do you think we should like? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry. I don't talk to nobody.
Yeah, can I actually, I never find.
Again, I'm good.
Okay. One second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you start to do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So you got one of those apple pies from
Mhm.
them.
Yeah, they're really good.
They come frozen though, which is very good.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, they are really good. I got two of them last year.
Yeah, I did do that. I remembered it. Look, oh, deadline's yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They're done.
I didn't really technically meet the deadline, but Janet said she covered it as long as they covered it back.
But you can get them out of that,
Did you get out? Yeah.
Fort Riley, that dairy. I think they have full pies out there.
Yeah.
Around one page of my.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's how my hands were working this morning too. Thank you, Dan.
Nothing all needs wanted to work this morning. Speaking of pies, is there somebody in the office that's taking payments for those?
Vivian?
Okay.
Yep.
Be by check or cash, can be by
Uh-huh.
card?
Not by card.
Yeah, I don't have any other way to do it then.
I meant to ask that too, because once.
Yeah, Vivian is. Yep.
Okay.
Or if you want to get it to me, if you have it in check or cash, I'll get it to her. I prefer cash.
Especially $20 this morning, right?
Well, I think you were up to 40. You were real close anyway.
It's all right, I can. I'm gonna buy 2 pies.
Yeah, I can eat a whole one by myself. But, you know, it takes a couple days, but
Oh, that's one city.
yeah.
Jamie, get us back on.
Are we ready?
Back on track here.
I didn't know if you were ready or not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Jan Scheidemann. I'm the supervisor for the Raising Riley program at the Family and Child Resource Center at the Riley County Health Department. And I'm just here today to kind of give you a little background about Raising Riley and let you know some of the things that we do and what kind of outcomes we're seeing with our kiddos. The report that I'm going to present to you is put together by WSU Cares. They work through the early childhood block grant and they compile all our data for us and then compare us to the state overall. You guys know the mission. Raising Riley's mission is strengthen at-risk families and help prepare their children for lifelong learning through the combined efforts of staff, parents, and community collaboration. Some background information about the early childhood block grant. The block grant and the Children's Cabinet recognize that children's social, emotional, and cognitive abilities are core to school readiness. The development of these skills depends greatly on the risk and protective factors the child is exposed to during their early years. Exposure to risk factors hinders healthy development and contributes to differences in children's readiness skills and future academic outcomes. The presence of multiple risk factors compounds these effects. Protective factors such as responsive caregiving and high-quality early education can moderate the negative influence of risk. To prevent further disparities in school readiness, the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund provides early childhood block grant funding to grantees that demonstrate community needs and use the funds for locally identified high-quality early care and education and family programs for at-risk children and their families. Raising Riley received the first early childhood block grant back in 1999, and we continue to grow and expand to meet the needs of our community's children ever since. Along with the early childhood block grant funding, Raising Riley receives valuable support through in-kind and match from Raleigh County. Our local program aligns with the Children's Cabinet's blueprint for early education to build a strong foundation for children and families in Raleigh County through shared vision, community collaboration, and public and private partnerships. The programs that Raising Riley offers, we have quite a few things going on over there. Our biggest program is our child care tuition assistance program. These funds are awarded to at-risk families and they assist with the monthly cost for child care. The amount awarded is based on the family need and then the age bracket that the child falls in, because as children get older, their tuition costs go down. The payments are made directly to our partnering child care providers, so the funding doesn't flow through the family at all. We work with facilities in Manhattan and Riley County. We'll work with any child care facility that's willing to participate with us and lets us come in and do observation once a year with them. We also have an early literacy education program that includes interactive monthly storytime visits. And these are offered to all licensed child care facilities in Riley County. They don't have to be a participating member of Raising Riley to take advantage of that. These include interactive storytelling and hands-on activities. Our interest forms are available and can be submitted through our website, as well as our scholarship application forms. They're all on our available through the county website and can be completely filled out and submitted that way. So that cuts down on work for parents. We also provide some one-on-one intervention for children that aren't meeting benchmarks on some of the assessments and observations that we do with them. We have a facilitator that goes out into the to the schools and the child care centers and can just spend a little time one-on-one with children to help them gain that extra boost. We have a family engagement program. It's a collaborative and strength-based process that helps early childhood professionals, families, and children build positive, goal-oriented relationships. We have monthly events with a focus on sharing developmentally appropriate activities with parents. We offer opportunities to enjoy interactions with family, peer support, and staff who work with their children. So it's just kind of a way to help build that interaction and connection that's going to be even more important as they start entering the public schools. We have parent education program called Circle of Security Parenting. This program helps parents understand their children's individual needs and development, as well as their own roles and responsibilities in parenting. We offer these quarterly. It's an 8 session. It's an 8-week session. So we go quarterly. We keep the group pretty small because it's a pretty intense program and high level. So we usually try to keep the numbers of between 5 and 8 each time we do it. And we've had really, really good response to that program. Excuse me. We have a parent book club. Beth, our family coordinator, picks out topics and books. She does this about every 2 months. We go through about 6 books a year. And they're on topics surrounding raising children and child development. And they meet on Saturday mornings. They read the book. They meet on Saturday mornings and discuss the book. And they'll usually have 2 sessions. So they'll go through half the book and then talk about it and read the rest of it. And that's been popular as well. We have a very strong collaboration with USD 383 early learning programs. We provide funding to help at-risk families with their preschool expenses, because not everyone that goes to the USD 383 early learning gets free. It's not free tuition for everyone. So there's still a cost involved. So we help with that. We collaborate with USD 383 for our kindergarten program that we offer every summer. It's a 4-week program, usually in June. That just helps kiddos that haven't had a formal experience in a preschool setting or a childcare setting get used to that social emotional aspect of being in a classroom, and gives them a little bit of boost on some of the developmental things that they're going to be expected to know when they enter classrooms. We work really closely with childcare providers in Riley County. The providers that partner with Raising Riley are required to participate in an annual classroom assessment and scoring system called CLASS. It's an observation that we do every fall. They have to meet the ECBG established standards for each section of the observation in order to remain in good standing with Raising Riley. If a program happens to not pass the standards in the fall, they're given a second opportunity to do so in the spring to remain active with us. And we do offer 2 trainings a year that help the providers understand the tool and understand what we're looking for. We also do a lot of professional development for our providers. We provide KDHE approved hours because we're part of the health department and part of the county. We're able to do that. We send out surveys to our providers to determine what their interests and needs are, and then we try to focus on those when we're putting together trainings. Most of our trainings are offered in person. Some of them we also do Zoom. If it's a large training and we're trying to reach all the counties that licensing serves, we'll definitely have it on Zoom because it's hard for them to travel. We also are starting a new program, mentoring program. It's not actually new. We're kind of bringing back something that we used to do in the past and then have kind of put on the back burner, but we're going to start doing some one-on-one consultation and guidance with our providers. It's kind of a voluntary program, but it's going to be more one-on-one, face-to-face and hands-on with the actual childcare providers to help improve that quality. Now we're going to get into the data. Not going to go through all the risk factors that help, that are what our families need to be at least one thing that's listed over here on the left side of the page to participate in Raising Riley. Our program is 100% of our families have at least one risk factor. 15% of our families have one risk factors. 36% of our families have two risk factors. 28% have three, and 21% of our families that we serve have four or more risk factors. This past year, we served 292 children from 262 families. 26% of our children lived in homes where English was not the primary language. 53% of the children were at risk or had an established developmental delay. 4% of our children were in foster care, out of home care, or in the custody of a relative. And 3% of our children lacked health insurance. 57% of our parents were unmarried. 6% were teen parents when the child was born. 93% of them qualified for free or reduced lunch, which is 200% of poverty. 8% were in families that didn't have stable housing. And we had, says 1%, it was not 1% that was a migratory family. As far as our caregiver education, we had 24% of our parents that had bachelor's degree or higher. 38% had technical training, associate degrees, or some college education. 29% had their high school diploma or their GED, and 9% of our families had less than high school educations. And these numbers compared to Riley County, as you can see over on the left side, the percentage of the county, the percentage from Riley County that like qualify for free and reduced lunch is 37%, but 93% of the people that we serve fall in that category. So our numbers are significantly higher than the overall county, which shows that we're reaching those people. We're getting out there and finding them. 6% of our Raising Riley parents were teen parents when their children were born. I think that was already said, but that's in comparison to the 5% statewide, which is pretty close. And it's not surprising to see that we have 26% of our families that aren't English speaking. It's not the primary language, just based on the community that we serve. The common measures is the expectation that the Early Childhood Block Grant sets up for us based on the number of children that we're expected to serve each year and families. They determine how many assessments that we need to complete each year. Last year, we completed 100% of the expected numbers on the assessments that we do. And I'll go over what all of those things are here in just a second. Due to the rapid changes taking place in child development from birth to age 5, frequent screening is essential for early identification of developmental delays. We use the Ages and Stages 3 and the Ages and Stages questionnaire, social emotional 2, and to just do a brief screening when the children start in our program so that we can determine their level of risk. And that can be, they can be at risk, which they need additional assessment, monitoring, where we're just going to keep an eye on them and do some follow-up and see how they're doing a little bit later, or they've met the benchmark and their development is consistent with the norms. These tools measure communication, gross motor, fine motor, problem solving, personal social skills, self-regulation, compliance, social communication, autonomy, interaction with other people, and things like that. And these are usually completed by the parents. We screened 264 children in the ASQ3 and 279 on the social emotional scale during the program year. Of the children that we screened, 13% of them were at risk. And we're continuing to follow, we followed them and we referred them to the school district or to infant toddler services. Our early learning and pre-K environments. This is the classroom observation that I spoke about earlier. This provides an objective, broad-based perspective of care and education settings while determining the use of developmentally appropriate practices. Research suggests children benefit most, both socially, emotionally, and academically, from classrooms that reach an established level of emotional and behavioral support. So the goal of the class observations is high quality care and support that promotes all areas of child development. These are conducted on programs that serve children birth to 5 years of age. They're done in the fall and then repeated in the spring if it's necessary, if they didn't pass the benchmarks in the fall. And the purpose of this is to assess the quality of the teacher-child interactions in the learning environments. It doesn't measure the environment itself. It doesn't measure the physical space or the equipment or things like that. It's all about the relationship between the child and the caregiver. We use 3 different tools. We use the class infant, which is, as it says, infants to 12 months, and the toddlers are 12 months to 3 years. And then we have the preschool classroom class, which is the 3 to 5 year olds. Of our providers, 83% of the infant classrooms passed the first time around, 94% passed the class toddler the first time around, and 90% of our preschool pre-K were high quality the first time around. When they reassessed in the spring, the 5 that did not pass in the fall did pass in the spring. They took advantage of our training. The ECI is an early communication indicator, and this is the assessment that we use on children that are 0 to 3 years old. This is an interactive play-based measure. It monitors the development and expressive communication. Again, the categories are at risk, developing, proficient. If they're at risk, we make referrals to the appropriate agencies. Developing, we give information to parents, which is the same for all of our things. We share information with our parents so that they can assist and provide child care providers. The information below represents children's progress on the communication indicator over the past year. We had 24 children assessed at 2 points in time. 8% had established developmental delays or an individual family service plan. Children demonstrated progress on this outcome, notably in the percent of children who scored in the proficient category increasing and the percent in the at-risk category decreasing. So by the end of the year, we had, compared to 50% that were proficient, we had 67%. And the at-risk decreased from 38 to 25%. So 71% had positive changes in scores. This is the page that I handed out to you that I messed up. The PK3 is intended to identify children, again, at risk for learning difficulties. This is for children 3 years of age. I need to find my right page. Sorry. This is for 3 and 4 year olds. It's done in the fall, the winter, and the spring. It's the purpose is to monitor their development of literacy skills. It's used to inform multi-tiered systems of support and increase understanding of early language and literacy development. It measures emergent literacy, which involves the skills, knowledge, and attitudes that are developmental precursors to conventional forms of reading and writing. Sorry. The impacts on this, we only had 3 kiddos that fell in that category last year. And they all pretty much maintained their how they were doing. They did improve in the spring a lot on robot blending, which is a phonemic awareness tool. And then when they turn 4, they get to take a whole bunch more assessments. These include picture naming, which one doesn't belong, rhyming, alliteration, and sound identification. These are also done 3 times a year. And again, we look for the same 3 classifications, make referrals if we find them at risk. In language comprehension, there was a 22% increase in the number of children who were on track from fall to spring. In phonological awareness, there was an exceptional change in the percentage of children who were on track in all phonological awareness subtests, an increase of 33% from fall to spring, which resulted in a substantially larger percentage of children who were on track than the statewide norm. So as you can see, the state down there was at 35% and we were at 74%. So we started strong and made the strongest progress in the state from moving from at risk to on track. Numeracy is oral counting, quantity comparison, number naming, and one-to-one correspondence. These are 3 to 5 year olds. Again, we do the same thing, monitor, refer as needed. They combined the summary for the pre-numeracy scales. There was a 20% increase in the number of children on track from fall to spring. And we were just, right at the state level, a little bit above. And research has shown that pre-numeracy skills, which is very interesting, I think, at kindergarten entry, were a better predictor of academic achievement than literacy, attention skills, or social behavior. So, in summary, a relatively large percentage of families in Raising Riley programs experienced a high number of risk factors. 84% had at least 2 risk factors. 21% had more than 4. These included English as another primary language, at risk for a developmental delay, or they had a developmental delay. 93% received free and reduced lunch. 6% were teen parents, and 9% had less than a high school education. On the classroom quality measure, as I said, had all of our classrooms ended up with passing scores in those scales. Related to child outcomes, the following results: early communication scores, there was a 17% increase in children who were proficient across the year. Language comprehension increased from fall to spring, 60% in the fall to 82% in the spring, well above the state average. The percent of children on track on phonological awareness increased, 41% being on track in the fall and 74% in the spring, strongest growth in the state. Numeracy, percent of children on track for all subtests increased by 20%, with 79% on track. That sounds real fast. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's an elementary one. Phonological awareness. What is that?
It's the combining of sounds into letters,
Oh, okay.
and then the next step, letters into words.
In the words. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing a really good job.
Thank you. We love our job.
And this is funded through what, the tobacco
Tobacco settlement dollars.
settlement? It's not funded by the state. Well, except
It is. I mean, the tobacco settlement fund falls into the state. Yeah, it's a children's initiative fund is where it comes into, and then it distributes into different little pots from there. But that's where the pot comes from.
that's probably going to hopefully go on for a while.
Hope so. Hope so. Much.
I don't have lots
Okay.
of data.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jana. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Motion, commissioners?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
I was second.
Been moved and seconded to recess as the Board of Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. All in favor?
I
Next commissioner, you have Darrell Edie at 11.
That'd be me. That'd be you.
Guess how many we had show up at our R&R meeting last night? Correct.
Same city of Leonardville had theirs last night, or Tuesday night. That's
I think the city had one show up.
Like Gary.
Gary?
No, it was, John. Ball.
I don't think that was the reason why he showed up originally.
Well, you should what?
I don't think that was his reason.
His original reason?
Yeah.
Probably. At least he's
Those are night meetings too, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
I think did they start at 7? I'm not sure what time they started.
they moved it up.
They moved it up to 6.
Yeah, they
for the
did.
Legislative
They
meetings, or
did.
whatever they're called, but they were discussing a couple of different items, including the R&R the other night. I didn't go or watch it.
They had about a little over an hour of public hearing, I think.
It was closer to 2 hours of there.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was a long time. I just skimmed past it because I watched it.
I was working on some other things, so it's nice to have that occasional Monday off, but I always regret it later. I've got to make it up. It feels like it's
It does. It just piles on.
2-3 times the work to do so.
Just piles on.
And you got to recoup that extra sleep.
No, I just don't.
All right, Darrell.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Darrell Edie, Budget and Finance Officer, here to go over the monthly cash flow reports. And as you can see, we have $70,092.20 in revenue. Transfers in of $2,369,805 makes up the majority of the revenue for the CIP. Had a reimbursement of $169,836 for total revenues of $2,609,733.77 for the year.
And we've only spent $1,152,165.22. If you look at the cash reconciliation, the beginning unencumbered balance of $7,501,076.98. We've had the revenue showed earlier of $2,609,000, less than 2022 expenditures, which was the $1,152,000, gives us a 2022 ending unencumbered cash of $8,958,645.53. We do have some remaining approved projects, $2,806,927.26, which will show up on the later pages. And the current projected unencumbered cash of $6,151,718.27. And then we have the projected 22 cash without reserves, $4,027,212.14. And if you look below is the reserves. The fair balance is the only one that's changed at all. They had some funds come in, and then we spent that $3,400 on some. Oh shoot, I forgot what those were.
Electrical outlets, wasn't it?
It was electrical something.
There's something electrical.
But it was $3,400 worth of repairs last month. So their balance actually only adjusted about $1,000 upward. And again, the budgeted expenditures is $7,554,156. We've spent the $1,152,165, showing we've only spent 15.25% of the budget. And we are at 66.7% of the year. So getting through there fast. The next page has the still open projects. I've taken out the projects that are completed, but we still have quite a few out there to work on or to get in. I doubt if we get any trucks in the way things are looking these days. We do have some software and other programs going on.
Yeah, we've been playing carrying that playground equipment for Seco Park for a long time. Was there a thing, is there something ordered on that, or are we waiting, or is that just sitting there? Because I've noticed a lot of the playground equipment over there is gone. Disappearing, falling apart, whatever.
It is in bad shape, or was in bad shape.
Well, maybe if you want to get back to me on it, that
Sure.
I'd be interested to find out what's going on with that.
So the commissioners know that'd be a good question in October. We are planning a CIP work session for the commissioners at the 1st of October, first or second week. And so we're going to plan on that. We have a couple departments requesting some vehicle type equipment that, of course, once we get it started, it takes a while to get it here. So and that'd be a good time. That's been a topic of discussion for years.
Yeah.
Playground equipment is so
I know it's
expensive.
expensive.
I thought they were trying to accumulate,
Accumulate
trying to have a
more
little more each year because
they were.
every time they think they've got enough.
Well, it was expensive before. I hate to see what the cost is now.
It's about $250,000 for a school playground.
So
Replace them every year, 2 of them every year. They get abused.
yeah, I don't know if we need to add money to this every year or whatever. That's been carrying on for a long time.
Parks.
Yeah, and John will be here.
Okay.
John will be here at that. It'd be good questions for him.
Right.
And let him know, Daryl, Commissioner, gonna want to know, update on the parks equipment at the CIP work session.
Okay. And I do have a auto list that you had requested and conditions and things like that for that as well. I've been working on.
Just be sure and remember, of course, I know you do, but related to that, we do have the funding for the north and the main ambulance facility, but we're not completely comfortable on where those costs are gonna land. And so if we need additional monies, that it'd be here from where we come, so.
Okay.
I would actually say that each department that has those lists might want to look them over and reevaluate them and maybe reprioritize if need be, and maybe not, but
That's generally,
Yeah.
they'll send out an email.
Yeah, I'll send out an
They want to
email.
reprioritize. Remember that numeric order they have them in is their first, second, third, and fourth priorities.
Right.
But the ultimate approval is your guys' priorities.
I would
so.
probably say maybe don't think about 3 and 4 right now, just make it a 1 and 2. Because we do need to save some money aside until we get through construction costs, because I'm not comfortable at all that we're gonna get both of them down with ARPA funds. I'm not.
Oh, we just saw an example today of what costs are doing, and I did talk to staff after that, and the engineer's estimate, he thought he was high.
I thought too, so that shows you it's unbalanced.
Every report I've been seeing on construction, it's just going crazy. And part of it's labor because you can't get it, so you have to pay, crazy dollars for your labor.
Well, I mean, that
And
shows
they-
why we got one bid. I mean, people have enough work for the staff that they have, so only even one company bid on this one. Because they're booked up with the amount of employees they have.
They're actually falling behind. I mean, if you looked at some of the projects and their due dates, I know one of the road projects on Browning, it was 4 weeks after its completion date, they actually opened up that road. And part of it's just, you don't have the manpower. And then getting, of course, parts in for some of it is difficult. I mean, that was concrete, so that's not nearly as hard, but you had other things. Air conditioners are extremely difficult to get in. Autos, I've talked to a couple of dealers and there's just, they're on waiting lists to try, and if it comes in, it's gone. So getting autos right now are going to be extremely difficult, or ambulances, or if we thought about buying a brand new road grader, it'd be, you're looking at 1.5 years out probably. So the building cash flow, we have $362,436.99 in revenue. We've had one reimbursement, actually two, small one. $1,123.89. We do have some other income that comes in on that, 33 or so a month. $264.50 on that, for a total revenue of $363,825.38. We have spent $192,350.27, which means we spent 48.94% of our budgeted authority on that. We budgeted 393, spent the 192, 350, leaves us the 200, 650. That one doesn't have any listed projects because that's kind of a come and go scenario. We have economic development cash flow analysis. Of course, we have the 185,500 revenue that comes in. We spent $113,901.69. We budgeted $309,048. Spent $113,902. We have a remaining $195,146, which means we have spent 36.86% of our budget. We have all the revenue anticipated that's come in. We go through the numbers. We have a projected unencumbered cash balance at the end of the year, $48,790.41. And the next page shows what is left to pay. Most of those, if I remember right, are debt obligation amounts. We're still going to be paying out of those. Everything else is pretty well taken care of. The one contract comes off in 2023, you'll see there. That's the auto lane. Yeah. On the next one, we're working on the half-cent sales tax. Sound like you had another good report today. So far through August, we have $1,439,991.72 of sales tax. We got reimbursed $11,370.65. KDOT gave us $8,359.51. Total revenue of $1,459,721.88. And we've only spent $50,161.68 so far. So 0.71% of our budgeted $7,028,195 so far for the year. We had the beginning cash balance of $4,197,993.50. Our revenue of $1,459,721.88. That's our expenses of $50,161.68. Leaves us a current balance of $5,607,553.70. We have the one projected balance. Take it off $350,000. Leaves us a projected unencumbered cash of $5,257,553.70. And I believe the projects in the works is $2,610,071.21. So projected after all the projects are on there right now of $2,647,482.49 on the half-cent sales tax to be working with. And the next page shows you the ones that are still outstanding and being worked on. A lot of road construction, bridges, of course. Any questions on any of those? I believe that is all of those.
It is.
Yes, it is. Like Rich said, we're going to be working on a CIP presentation next month.
Any questions for Daryl, commissioners?
No. All right.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Daryl.
very
Appreciate it. Next commissioner we have Scott Carmichael at 11:20. They'll start at 11:20, Scott.
Yeah. got a message. A message from us. And she missed the date. That's how he gets these. Because they were planning to move.
Mhm.
And she wants to know how I go about asking commissioners to help fund some of this. I told her at one point when we passed the time, should she just come and present it to us?
You have her get a hold of Cindy Cagle and
Yeah.
get some time on the agenda with information that she wants to present to the board.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And tell her to let us know how much time she wants on the agenda. We'll get her on.
Okay, I will. And she was like, this is for IT support.
Well, she came to the board on that
I
issue
know,
one time
yeah.
and it's been told no.
Yeah, I know. Well, she's now really crunched for time, so I get it.
Yeah.
For money.
Yeah.
Of course, they're working on a big fundraising too, but I don't know if that's gonna work.
What did they do on that, do you know?
Now they've suggested amending the policy to where there's an exception for nonprofits, which there is a process that they have to go through the planning board and through the planning and development department. But once again, that takes time and can't be done in the allotted time that they need to be done. So it's something to consider in the future, but it won't work for the date that they need.
They might be having this. I had a thing thrown at me the other day. Scott called me and he said, well, most of the people coming, the marching band is planning to come up there. That's 350 people. You know, and if you take that off of the 500.
Yeah, but they don't take the whole.
He said they were.
Really?
I don't, and I took a
Because most of
picture of this band the other day at the
Most
game.
of those events, they have a smaller
I know.
bunch that comes out.
But he told me, and that was a whole new thing to the whole thing. I went, and I said, you better talk to him. And he says, I talked to him. I don't know. I'm not into that. We're not, I mean, nonprofits are.
If you do that for one, you've got to do it for everybody. I mean, and everybody's gonna ask.
Lack of planning on your part is not
Constitute an emergency.
Well, there's no reason to bring a 350 piece band up to that. They wouldn't even fit on a piece of property. If they reduce that, then they might be able to get in the other categories. But I don't know what they're doing. He told me that I fell off.
That was one of his arguments he was making, though, is that they would come on one large bus, or concerns about parking is that they wouldn't have a concern because they'd be coming on one large bus. But
You
yeah,
couldn't fit
they're
the
bringing
whole band
whole
in one bus.
on one bus.
And the
Or
instruments.
buses, bigger vehicles, but then you still have a problem with bigger vehicle parks. So yeah,
If one
Take
or
3
two
buses.
large trucks just to carry them.
Project, bus will hold 100 people.
I suggest that they find a venue that
Yes.
is legal to do it,
Yeah.
and you can get around it. Unfortunately, it's not what they want to do, but at least you can continue on.
Yeah.
I haven't heard today. That was like Friday. We talked to him. I just kind of.
Yeah, Amanda responded to him yesterday. I think it was because she copied me and told him the process he needs to go through to amend the regulations to have an exception for nonprofits. But once again, it can't be done by this day.
And I don't think we need, I mean, the idea is to make people plan ahead, and that's not what they did.
You ready for Scott, commissioners?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well,
Far away.
Morning,
Morning.
Scott Carmichael, Riley County Conservation District. And am I about the only thing between us and lunch?
No, we got 2 more after you, Scott.
Okay.
It's a long morning.
Increase this slide deck to another 30, 40 pages for you. Just a few updates. The first is we just went through and our state cost share fiscal year runs June to July. So we just closed that window of applications and review and ranking and prioritization and funding, and have that kind of locked in again. The results of that, we had many applicants. Just a quick reminder that these state cost share funds, they're appropriated for use in all 105 counties based on availability and need. We get our share of that in Riley County. And our role is to administer and manage and direct. These are not cost share funds that come out of our operational budget that you folks help support. We break them down into two primary categories. The first is water resources, dealing with water quality and water quantity. And we have a little over $35,000 committed on 10 contracts. And then the non-point source pollution, we have $15,000 committed on 3 contracts. Notably, we had 11 applications in the non-point source, and we just didn't have enough money to go on down the line. So a little over $50,000 committed for this fiscal year on a total of 13 projects. The type of projects that we're funding, just as it worked out, that were applied for and ranked, under water resources, we're doing more gradient terraces and grass waterways. A lot of these terraces and waterways in our county are getting to an age where they need to be redone, not just stones. And under non-point source, the vast majority of our applications were for solar wells, both for grazing distribution and, quite frankly, as a response to the drought, especially up in the northern end of the county. Just not enough water in the ponds, not enough wind turning the windmills on the pumps. So that's been a very, very popular category. And then we're also doing one cross fence project. Again, that's for grazing distribution, but ultimately, in conjunction with that cross fence, there will be a solar well and watering facilities installed. Currently, under our federal cost share programs that the Conservation District helps support and administer, and a lot of administrative support for that, is really under 3 categories. The EQIP program, which is the main one, and then our Conservation Stewardship program, which focuses on grassland and on croplands. And then we're all fairly familiar with the CRP program throughout the state. And a snapshot of where we're at right now on these federal programs, the EQIP federal funds that are obligated for their fiscal year, 2022, is a little over $250,000. Our active CSP grassland, over $46,000. Active CSP cropland, over $300,000. And then already active and in progress EQIP contracts, a little over $1.2 million. It's important to note on anything EQIP related, this data includes Riley and Geary County. Our NRCS office for that handles the EQIP contracts handles both those counties. So that data or the amounts are not just for Riley County. Our FSA partners handle the CRP program, and currently we have a little over $128,000 in annual payments on 114 contracts, preserving over 1,600 acres in CRP. So totals right now, EQIP and CSP on the federal level, 1.8 million. Again, that includes both counties. CRP, 128 are recently closed applications and projects for locking in this fiscal year, 50,000 at the state level. So a little over $2 million. So not insignificant money coming back into the area. A few updates on community engagement. We have a couple of no-till seed drills available for rent, and the photo on the left is we just traded in one of our prior drills and acquired this drill. Notably, it is manufactured locally in the state of Kansas. That was a part of our decision-making process there. This drill gives us a lot more flexibility. It has 3 seed boxes. We can do everything from grassed waterways to cover crops, brome, native grass, just about anything we need. And the way the drill is set up, it's heavy enough to cut through just about any situation we need. We're also a retailer for native grass and cover crop seeds, and we're getting into planting season again. So my phone is starting to ring pretty frequently with reservations for our drills and placing seed orders. This isn't really a money-making venture. Any proceeds we receive off this go back into our enterprise fund, and it helps us keep up with maintenance and storage costs for these things. Couple notes on education. We have a stream bank or erosion trailer, and that's the photograph on the bottom right. And I've had the opportunity to run that out to several events, and kids just love it. Adults love it too.
Yeah, we saw it in 2019. I thought it was pretty cool.
It really is neat. They really get to cheering for that bridge with the car to fall and the farmhouse to erode away. I don't know exactly what we're teaching them there, but it's good stuff. And then I mentioned this the last time I was here, but our Envirothon is a big part of our educational outreach through the KACD and the National Association of Conservation Districts. And our Manhattan High School team, I think the last time I was here, they were headed to the national events. They did us all proud, placed 15th, and I think there were over 40 teams, maybe right at 40 teams. So really did a good job.
They seem to be really enthusiastic about that too.
Yeah,
I would assume all 40 teams, but I can only speak for the obvious one. But yeah.
I don't know if you've seen we call it the soil tunnel trailer. There's a couple of those available. And the photo on the left is from an event that I partnered with up here over in Geary County earlier this year. And the kids just really eat that up because it's very hands-on and interactive and educational. A little reminder on some of our community engagement. We provide some awards for outstanding stewards of the land. The top photo is a before and after photograph from the Josh Wendland place. A lot of the conservation practices and improvements made there. Our annual meeting will be either in January or February of the coming year. We man a booth at the Kansas State Fair through the Kansas Association. I get quite a few inquiries for our contractors list that we provide, not as recommendations, but just as a courtesy to the citizenry. Send out some newsletters. Our next soil health and cover crop workshop, we were thinking of having one this November. That's been rescheduled, and it will be in late March. We also serve as the customer facing, that initial point of contact for all sorts of conservation inquiries. Folks that are moving to the area and maybe starting a rural lifestyle, and some hobby farms, ag producers, anything to do with soil, water, air, plants, or animals. And one other quick thing that I just wanted to at least remind you of, and then see if you had anything in particular. We're working on scheduling a field tour with you, and got a long list of ideas, places to go, things to see, different folks to involve. But if there's anything of particular interest that's important to you that you want to make sure to see or learn more about or discuss, please let me know. I'm working with Cindy on setting this up.
Yeah, that's kind of a question. I thought I'd seen something about, she'd asked available dates or something. I just wondered where that was going.
Yeah, I think we're just finding days where everybody can be in the same place, same time, probably in October is what it's looking at. And then One final note is we do have a job opening posted for a conservation technician. And again, that will be funded from money from the Division of Conservation through the state of Kansas and also through NRCS. That's not our operational money at work here. It'll report up through me, through our board of supervisors for administrative management and support, and receive the technical guidance through NRCS partners. So that's open. So we may be adding to staff in the near future. One other final note, I heard some conversation earlier about increased construction costs and what have you. And that's, I'll tell you, that's hitting our producers and landowners and land users, including on these contracts. So those prices are going up, contractor availability and is lower. And but that money kind of remains stagnant. So just putting it out there for whatever it's worth, that we're facing that as well. That is all I have for you, unless there's any questions or other information you'd like. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next commissioner, you have Russell Stuckey at 11:35.
Just a heads up, Rich, I forwarded you over an interesting email I got on my personal email.
Get lots of interesting ones in them. Thank you.
That was, we need to find a new contract. 115 million in 10 years.
$15 million a year.
150, what's the 11 phone?
Probably plus incentives.
Well, probably, yeah.
See what the buyout is. It's not anywhere.
This is just over what saving. Is he Alabama?
Saving.
You know, damn book that. Because I thought there was some concern that he saved less than Sweeney tried to go over there. I'm just saying that.
Let's say we maybe stay coach for about another 10 years then, what it sounds like that's the case. University have all that money.
It's like in Alabama and Georgia all have.
Yeah.
Ready, commissioners?
All right, yeah.
Morning, Commissioner. About the end of the morning, but Russell Stuckey, Emergency Services Director, Emergency Management and County Fire. Got my staff time report for you. On the 911 side, we've been watching some utility bills at some of the new towers, and one of them has been really high. So we've been trying to research why that one's running $400 more than some of the others.
Yeah.
Haven't found the answer to that yet. They've had Evergy out, had KCOM out. We're still trying to figure out what it is that's pulling that extra juice. So keeping an eye on those kind of things. Still working. KCOM's still working on updating or not updating, but moving that microwave equipment over to replace that fiber cable that we'd like to get rid of that $1,200 a month fee. But in moving that equipment, they found one component that didn't test out on the bench. So they're with supply chain issues is everything. They're trying to figure out the best way to replace that. It's a modem, I believe, a specialized modem. So we're still working on that. And I've been working with John and Alvin at Public Works, Clancy on the Drake Tower access road, getting it a plan together to blade and maintain it. So we and contractors and that particular tower average rent space on, so that we have good access to it and keeping the landlord happy and everything. So also, Evergy, I think, is going to actually put in some money on that to improve the gate calendar so that their technicians, it makes it easier for their technicians to get in and out too. So it's kind of a joint effort. I think we got a plan figured out. They're supposed to have the cattle out of the pasture November 1st, so they're going to attack it after that. I don't think we had anything too earth shattering on the emergency management side.
Sounds like you're doing a lot to upgrade and streamline Everbridge.
Lori works on that mostly, and it's constantly, putting new employees on, taking old employees off. She is also one of the regional administrators for the program. And so she updated the bylaws and policies for the region. And I think there's, out of our 26 county region, I think there's 15 counties using it. And so she went through and updated all those, the SOGs essentially to what all counties have to do to use that system. And there were a lot of old data on there, a lot of old users that hadn't logged in for years. And so she was cleaning a lot of that up. On the fire side, one thing that I think Amanda said she has talked to you about in the past, but it's been a little while, is the Conza Fire Station 115 right here by the piano store. It's in a proposed area for a sewer improvement district. And so they approached me about that. And if the fire district wanted to participate, and we don't have running water or sewer there, but we don't really have any plans to put any in anytime soon. And so in particular to the fire district, there's not going to be really any benefit, but according to Amanda and her staff, and how the statutes are written, if you're a landowner in a proposed area, they can essentially force you to participate. And so that'll be coming to you. There's still some more research that Amanda and Craig Cox are doing, and we'll be coming to you with a recommendation. My answer to them, to their original question, is it's not going to do the fire district any good, but technically the county owns the land, not the fire district. And so the part of the argument is, well, it'll improve the value of the land, because when you go to sell it, I'm like that. And so obviously it's going to be a commission decision. So just a heads up, that'll be coming to you.
On that subject and related to it, because I saw that, is I believe when the city provided water services across the viaduct, Fairmount Park has water, and generally a lot of times you exempt governmental entities, and I believe the city provided the service but exempt those special assessments. So I think there's maybe some precedence on that with other local governmental entities, and just
Be fine by me.
But I mean, that's when we were even getting the service, and you're not even getting the service,
Right.
so
It'll
it's something
be,
to think about for the board.
the proposed thing is it would eventually be at our property line, but if the county property was included, it'd be about $10,000. And that's not actually hooking up to it from our building. That's just getting it to our property line. But like, and Amanda's staff can talk to it in more detail than I can. There's sewer issues out there. And so, it may be the good neighbor thing to do to get a sewer district in out there for the county residents that are out there. But that's above or beyond my pay grade or my level of expertise. So that will be an Amanda and her staff, more detail coming. But initially the fire district is like, yeah, we don't really need it. So another somewhat big thing that we're looking at, we're researching software programs. Our current provider for our firehouse software, which is like what we produce these reports from and do our record keeping on. Currently, we pay about just under $3,000 a year for it. They've been bought out by a bigger company, and the initial estimates on what's going to cost going forward is their first pricing was like $30,000 or $40,000. And I said, yeah, that's not going to work. So we are researching I think since then they have started dropping their price, but we are researching other options. John is doing most of that. And so probably like a lot of things, no matter what our other option is, it's probably going to cost more, but hopefully it'll be a few thousand more and not 20,000 more. So yet to be determined on that. Participated, as you know, in the Northernville Hullabaloo. We have probably at the end of this report, we have our little chart that we started providing with new applications and et cetera. We think at least a couple of those new applications are a result of going to those events like at Randolph and Leonardville. So I think going forward, our intent is to probably try and hit those like maybe every other year. And so like 1 year, maybe do like Randolph and Riley's event, and then another year do Leonardville and maybe Ogden's event. And so like every other year hit one of the 4th of July events, and then rotate that around. And so you'll have another opportunity to come out and support the fire district. So as I mentioned, you can see on our chart there, we've had 5 new applications this month. 8 people are going through the hiring process now, which involves, interviews and background checks and drug screens and such. We've rejected 1, done 3 interviews this month, hired 1 this month. So right now we have a active staff of 117. And we've had 2 resignations this month. And on the run report that I handed out, you can see the mix of the calls. 63% were rescue, emergency. Just under 6% were a hazardous condition. Just under 10% were good intent calls ended up not really needing to do anything. 2% false alarms and just under 20% actual fires. Now on the additional pages, you can see the type of calls, a better breakdown, and what stations went to how many calls. Do you have any questions on any of that information? So then the other item is would like to request permission to advertise and fill a vacant position that's budgeted for. That is it did have a different title. We've worked with human resources and updated the position description, and it will now be an administrative assistant 1.
Did any of the essential functions or duties change in this updating? I don't think it's been
Yes.
in a long time.
Yes, the essential functions and duties did change, and what we did is we aligned it with our administrative assistants across Riley County. Now, this is a one, and some of our more experienced administrative assistants are administrative assistant too, so there are some more entry level requirements on this position. Could be possible in the future that they may have a need for it as administrative assistant too, but this position had been transitioned to an inventory clerk. And that was prior to bringing on the 2 deputies and prior to kind of the reformation of the fire district. So talking with Russell, who then also spoke to the rest of his team, what we really need is someone who can act as that frontline person, the administrative assistant, do the data entry, keep track of the fire and the burn licenses and calls, and all of that stuff that it really what a receptionist would have been previously, but also then be that customer service person for the volunteers and any internal clients. That makes sense. Yeah, it's a little different. But I think it fits better with the department.
No, I'm considering that we've restructured everything, and
Right,
it's been a process from the very start.
right.
Included a lot of different people. Yeah, that would make sense.
Right. And with having the 2 deputies now, really, they are managing that volunteer program differently than it had been previously. And so they need a person who can be support, but not necessarily in charge of the volunteer program or managing the inventory. They'll kind of be more of a support person.
So is the pay grade still?
The pay grade is lower than it had been.
No, okay.
But it had some enhanced duties previously that the deputies are really doing now.
Okay, so yeah, it is lower for that one.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't have anything else on anybody else.
That's good.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve staff advertising and filling the vacant emergency management fire administrative assistant position.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the advertising fill the vacant position. All in favor?
All 3 sign, please.
And the only other thing I had was thank Commissioner Ford for coming out at training night the other night. He got to squirt some water and see the firefighters in action doing some training. So obviously that invitation's open to any other commissioners.
Did you get him signed up?
Not yet.
You never know. You never know. I could water a mean tree apparently.
Commissioners have anything else for me?
I'm too far away from the stations.
You're getting up anyway, so.
They wake me up. Anyway.
So that's all I have.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Next commissioner, you have Michael Fuller at 11:50, which is right now. 11:50.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Mike Bowler with the Riley County Noxious Weed Staff Update. And I understand that it's right before lunch. Usually I present a little earlier in the month and a little earlier in the morning, so we're all hungry and ready for lunch. And I will get through this as quickly as possible and promise I'll make it as entertaining as possible because it is a very important topic to me, that being noxious weeds. I'll start with saying that we're beginning our spot spraying for Cereus lespedeza and fall spraying for musk thistle and field bindweed. And solid spraying in sections 1 and 2 has begun as well, where we're also targeting musk thistle and bindweed as well as brush and cedar trees. Our second round of mowing, I think I reported this last month, has already been completed. We got that done early this year. Very pleased because we are still down 2 tractors from the storm that hit our facility. A couple reasons for that was we had a little bit of delay with the insurance, and then we were competing with the repairs with harvest. Combines come first, and rightfully so, next to county mowing. And so the folks that make their living off that get priority, and I certainly support that. But we should be having our 2 mowers or our 2 tractors coming online very soon. In fact, Can Equip called me yesterday, and they're working on getting that done. So hopefully we'll get those back up and running, and that will certainly help with our 3rd round of mowing, which has already begun. As a reminder, our third round of mowing, we mow out at least 2 rounds, and we mow out to the fence line where possible. That obviously helps with brush control and snow drift, and is part of roadside maintenance, which is ultimately why we perform mowing on the roadside is roadside maintenance. It's not for the aesthetic purposes, although certainly safety is also an aspect of it as well. So we've got a pretty early start on the 3rd round, and sometimes we mow clear to November, but hopefully we'll get that done actually earlier this year as well. I have a couple of photographs up here for you, and if you recall, I did discuss this last year. I got some positive feedback. This time of year, we have tall thistle, or what's known as roadside thistle, that's in bloom. The 2 photographs you see up to your left are roadside thistle, and then the one to the far right is actually musk thistle. What this photograph doesn't show is the sheer scale of this plant. Roadside thistle is a lot smaller, and musk thistle is a lot more robust. And one of the key differences between 2 of these plants is one is a noxious weed and one is not. One is an indigenous plant to Kansas and is not a plant that we target. As a reminder, as a noxious weed director and what we do, we are very much conservationists. Our job is not to spray and kill all weeds. It couldn't be further from the truth. Our job is to help natural or indigenous plants to Kansas survive more invasive species like musk thistle. So I also mention this as well because roadside thistle is in bloom this time of year. It's very similar in appearance, especially when you're going by it 60 miles an hour. I get calls several times this year about musk thistle in the ditch. I will always go out and investigate that, but I can tell you that musk thistle has already bolted. Generally by mid-July, it is completely all done. And so if you see something that looks like a musk thistle, it's got a purple head onto it this time of year, it's most certainly roadside thistle. But I'm certainly happy to go out and look at that, but it's not necessarily a plant that we target. On the HHW side, we do have a clean out coming up down at Howie's on the 10th from 8 to noon. We do not accept business waste or truckloads of waste there. And I can tell you that I was at the August one. If you recall, we had to postpone or cancel our July clean out because our trailer was being repaired. And the folks made up for that because we served 119 people on that Saturday. That's averaging about 1 customer every 2 minutes. And we just absolutely stuffed the bus, if you will, that morning. But again, a very popular thing. Folks love that opportunity. And we took in several thousands of pounds of HHW material. And because of that, we do have a lot of recycled materials, but I just checked the shelves before we left and we're actually pretty low. That is just another super popular thing. People coming and getting paint and everything else that you buy from the box store. Please come out and see if we got it on the shelf first, but we are really low right now. And I view that to be a good thing. I do have that our next contract or clean out is in October. I stand in air there. It's actually coming up the 20th of this month, September. Clean Harbors is going to come do a clean out for us. We do have the annual report done and submitted to KDHE. One thing on that report that continues to go up is just the amount of HHW material. I can also report to you that, commissioners, you'll recall that we started a lithium-ion battery campaign where we're trying to get those out of the waste stream. And that has gone up exponentially. But from last year to this year, and I have to give some credit to the campaign, we took in 3,000 pounds of lithium-ion batteries the year before, and we were a little over 10,000 pounds this year. So 3 times the amount already So I do believe the word is getting out, and that's important because we need to try to get that out of our solid waste stream. And that is something that I and several other departments here at the county are all working in cooperation with. So I'm pleased with that number. I will be going down to the state fair here on the 15th. The CWDAK, which I serve on that board, always has a booth down there where we answer questions about noxious weeds, how to treat them. We do get a lot of lawn care questions, and so if you need to know about dandelions or sandbur, I can certainly help provide different herbicides that help combat those well. So I'll be down there. And lastly, I want to discuss just a little bit about contracts. Township and state contracts is something that commissioners, you'll know that we partake in. Particularly township contracts is one of those areas that commissioners around the state have kind of looked at as budgets begin to shrink. They've looked at that, and we are not necessarily one of the few, but we certainly still contract with townships in the state to control noxious weeds. And when I look at that, it's important that commissioners understand that we do that really not so much as a favor to the township as so much as to the men and women that live in that community that have agriculture as their income. Because if we didn't provide that contract, the likelihood of the township that is ultimately responsible for treating noxious weeds may not do that. So from the county standpoint, we always provide that service at at the bare minimum. I will stop at saying that we lose money providing those contracts, but we certainly don't make money off of providing those contracts. But we do endure a lot of the liability and risk. And when I talk about risk, when you're spraying for noxious weeds in a township, the buffer between where you're spraying and where crops grow is greatly reduced. And so this year we were faced with some pretty significant weather in the early spring where we had a tremendous amount of wind. When we didn't have wind, we had rain. If we didn't have rain, we had standing water in the ditches. And for that reason, we normally in the early spring use two different types of chemicals to spray township roads. We use a 2,4-D and then a combination of what we call picloram, which the brand name is called Tordon. Tordon is a restricted use herbicide and it is not crop labeled. And so this year we found ourselves spraying when soybeans were already up and growing. And in our contract, it also speaks about that we would follow the label. And so this year in particular, there were several townships where we utilized just Freelex, which is 2,4-D, which is very effective against spraying noxious weeds. But anytime you provide a contract, sometimes there's going to be somebody that's not happy. And this year we do have an elected official in one of the townships that is not happy with that decision. So I simply wanted to bring it to the commissioner's attention that we are working on getting that matter resolved. But I wanted to explain why that decision was made. And that if I had that decision to make over again, I certainly would. The chemicals that we sprayed were very effective on the noxious weeds in which we target. And of course, that's what the contract is about. The concern is, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for this individual and their herbicide background, but some of the concern was perhaps sunflower, and the fact that the township may have to mow. Well, it's important to note, and I want the commissioners to understand that we don't do total roadside control of weeds. We target the noxious weeds. And I did go up and inspect the ditches and they're in great shape. And I do have a photograph that kind of substantiates that even sunflower was controlled, although it's not something that we normally would target. But at any rate, we're working on getting that matter resolved, but I just want to educate the commissioners on why we do it, the importance of doing it, and just to understand that there has been a concern that has been brought up and let everybody know the decision was made and why it was made. Does anybody have any questions about my staff update?
I didn't get any calls on the.
Yes. So I would say that I did personally discuss it with McKinley. Frankly, I haven't given the final answer. They're requesting that we come back up and spray that additional chemical free of charge, and that's not a solution for me, and I will be making them aware of that. And once I do, maybe getting a call. Okay. Any further questions, Commissioner?
But also after did some work on the house and buying paint recently, I understand why people enjoy that free paint.
Paint is one of those things that's getting to be fairly pricey. Yeah.
Okay.
And we get buckets of brand name paint out there and it's all free. And there's some buckets of paint that are $50 a gallon.
Yeah.
And we do mix a lot of our paint together and we use a number of name brand paints. And I've had folks come back out and say it's the best paint they've ever used. In fact, there's several businesses up in the Randolph area that remodel using our paint. And so it's kind of fun to drive through there and say, well, that's HHW. Yeah, that's HHW. And so it's very popular, very popular. Any other questions? I think we'll be on time for lunch then. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Well, the winner of last week's pot, and since gambling is legal in Kansas now, was Commissioner McKinley. So
I would have close, if he hadn't missed the field goal extra point, I'd have had our score exactly right.
yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Commissioner McKinley wins the gold pot from last week. So what is Commissioner Ford's score for this week? Plain Missouri.
Oh,
Got some
Big
rushbacks.
12. Kind of interesting, the spread started at 9 and this morning it was 7.5. So Vegas knows something. Speaking of that, I don't think it's going to be an easy game.
I agree.
We got a couple of key injuries. While we ran the ball really, really well, that's the strength of Missouri's defense, and I'm not sold we can still pass yet. So maybe that was a strategy, maybe not. It's going to be closer than you think. And I'll make one other prediction with this. We're going to do 2 things on special teams. Don't know what it is yet. Punt return, kick return, block, something, but do something significant on special teams that will get us the victory 29-26.
Commissioner McKinley.
38 were last, so I'll go 38-28.
Well, I actually thought about it this week, today. I'll go Cats 27, Missouri 24.
Clancy.
30-28, K-State.
I'm going 2017.
That close storm.
As long as we get a win.
Yeah.
I have no official business, commissioners.
Hey, no, I guess with that said, then it's kind of a longer than usual morning. So make a motion that we adjourn the September 8th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I would second that.
Moving second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.